A boy stood before his classmates as his attendance number, 33, was called. His name was announced to the silent room, Mizusawa Yuki. He stared in disbelief as he was told he would be exiled. The story rewinds 3 months to a seemingly normal day in Class 2A. A violent tremor shook the classroom, and a student wondered if it was an earthquake. A student looked out the window, noticing something strange about the shaking. The world outside the window began to warp and distort unnaturally. Their entire class was inexplicably transported to a fantasy world 3 months ago. In that time, the harsh new reality had already claimed 15 of his classmates. Class president Kitano Suichi created new rules for the 20 remaining survivors. And those new rules were the cause of the current terrible situation. Kitano explained that his expulsion was decided by an overwhelming majority vote. He pointed to the board, stating the decision was made by his peers. The scene shifts, revealing the reason for this cruel judgment. He had sustained an injury to his leg, rendering him unable to keep up. Another student sneered, pointing out that his prediction of Yuki's weakness was correct. His classmate, Higawa Shiru, declared him completely useless with a broken leg. Yuki insisted it was only a crack. He could still search for food. Higawa cruelly reminded him that without a doctor, his injury would not heal. Yuki could only stare back, hurt and unable to form a response. Kitano coolly stated that even before the injury, Yuki's contributions were subpar. He explained their dire situation, with monsters and scarce food making survival difficult. It was a shame, he continued, but Yuki had now become useless. Therefore, he was no longer considered one of their companions. The cruel words struck Yuki, leaving him in a state of shock. A classmate pointed out that Yuki was the only boy who hadn't killed goblins. Yuki remembered the reason for his reluctance, a memory of a brutal hunt. The boys had chased down a goblin with makeshift spears, cornering it. He had questioned why they needed to kill it, instead of just scaring it away. The others had mocked him, asking if he actually felt sorry for the goblin. Their bloodlust and complete lack of empathy had deeply disturbed him. One of the boys had commented on his softness before finishing the creature off. He sarcastically called Yuki kind while delivering a brutal, final blow. The boys laughed, arguing over who should get credit for the kill. To Yuki, it looked as though they were simply enjoying the act of killing. He resolved that, at the very least, he never wanted to become like them. Back in the present classroom, Higawa approached him with a smug grin. He snarled that they had no need for a deadweight who couldn't kill. Yuki stared back, his expression a mixture of fear and utter despair. A sharp voice suddenly cut through the tension, telling them all to stop. It was his childhood friend, Yuna Takasaki, who insisted his expulsion was wrong. She argued he could do other tasks, but another student dismissed her claim. Kitano claimed he didn't want this, but it was necessary to protect everyone. Yuna looked at him with doubt, not believing his noble justifications. Yuki realized it was a lie. There was another reason they wanted him gone. He knew it was because some of the other boys were targeting Yuna. They were jealous of his close friendship with her and had orchestrated this. Higawa taunted him, saying the injury was his own fault. Yuna was shocked speechless by his cruel words and shameless audacity. Cruel thoughts echoed in his mind, calling him useless, average, and a burden. With the matter decided, Kitano began to clap for Yuki's solo departure. A haunting, mocking applause filled the room as nearly everyone joined in. One student covered his face, pretending to be sad as he clapped. Yuna could only watch the horrifying spectacle, unable to stop them. He turned his back on Class 2A and walked toward the door. He dragged his injured leg down the empty, silent school hallway. Suddenly, he heard the sound of footsteps hurrying after him. Yuna grabbed his arm from behind, desperately telling him to wait. She pleaded with him to take her along, too worried to let him go alone. He refused, saying the outside world was far too dangerous for her. Yuna reminded him that he was the one who was injured and vulnerable. She tightened her grip on his sleeve, her knuckles turning white. With tears in her eyes, she confessed she couldn't bear it if he died. He looked at his trembling friend, moved by her genuine concern for him, but his resolve to protect her by leaving alone only hardened. He reassured her, claiming he was very good at hiding and would be fine. He said his leg might heal, and then he could return to the school. He turned one last time to thank her for being the one to defend him. Her expression was a portrait of shock and heartbreaking sadness. She could only whisper his name to the now empty hallway. Outside the school walls, the alien sky stretched above the strange forest. He worried constantly, knowing he couldn't leave Yuna in such a dangerous place. Alone in the wilderness, he rested among the strange, floating creatures. His crudely bandaged leg was a constant throbbing reminder of his weakness. Using a stick for support, he forced himself to stand and move onward. After 5 days, he was at his limit when he spotted a patrol of goblins. His vision was blurring, and the pain in his leg had become excruciating. His body finally gave out, and he staggered, collapsing to the ground. Lying in the grass, he could only whisper how much it hurt. The memory of his classmates' cruel, mocking applause echoed in his mind. He also remembered Yuna's face, her expression of pure horror at their actions. He clenched his fist in the dirt, cursing his weakness and their betrayal. He pushed himself up, vowing that he would absolutely survive this ordeal. As he looked up, he saw an impossible sight, a single ornate door. The bizarre jellyfish creatures floated past it, oblivious to its strangeness. The mysterious door stood alone in a clearing, beckoning him closer. He wondered why such a thing would be deep within the forest. He pushed it open, half convinced he was finally starting to hallucinate. A brilliant, welcoming light spilled out from the room beyond the threshold. Inside was a cozy room where a small doll welcomed him to its hideout. He was stunned to hear Japanese, though the voice sounded strangely layered. The doll introduced itself as Acheron, the regret of creation magic's founder. Yuki could only repeat the strange name, trying to process what was happening. The doll then asked him if he happened to be from another world. Acheron then asked why he had come to such a dangerous place alone. Yuki began to explain, his gaze falling upon his own injured leg. The doll listened, saying it was terrible to abandon a friend for such an injury. It declared his former companions to be both heartless and incredibly stupid. Yuki looked up, a small bit of relief washing over his tired face. A small, forgotten creature lamented its inability to get revenge. It offered a deal to a crippled young man, a job for a healed leg. The job was the subjugation of the dreaded Demon King's olds. The young man Yuki was stunned by the impossible request. The creature, Acheron, insisted it was once the most powerful being. Its strength came from creation magic, the ability to create anything. But despite this incredible power, something had gone horribly wrong. Acheron and its comrades were slaughtered by the Demon King's forces. The memory of the Demon King's terrifying power was still vivid. Yuki protested he was too weak, but Acheron offered to teach him. Acheron explained Yuki's knowledge from another world gave him an edge. Overwhelmed, Yuki hesitated, but Acheron promised not to force him. It warned that Zoldy's would destroy everything, including those he cherished. He thought of the one person who had ever shown him kindness. A memory of the girl, Yuna, flashed in his mind. She would be in danger. If there was a way to save his only benefactor, he had to take it. His eyes burned with a new and desperate resolve. "I'll accept your job," he declared with sudden conviction. Pleased, Acheron directed him to a reward in a nearby drawer. He looked inside, wondering what strange object awaited him. It was a unique, ornate book made from impossibly rare materials. As he touched it, the ancient tome erupted with a brilliant light. The room was engulfed by the sheer force of its magical energy. A beam of light shot from the book directly into his mind. An overwhelming flood of magical knowledge surged into his consciousness. The book's pages flipped wildly, feeding him their ancient secrets. He slammed the book shut as the transfer of power completed. The mental overload left him collapsed and weak, his head smoking. He groaned in agony, his head feeling as if it would split apart. Acheron reassured him that the information sickness would soon pass. To test him, Acheron asked for the ingredients to a healing spell. He searched his new memories for the correct answer. The information surfaced in his mind with perfect clarity. He correctly named the Moondream herb and the mana mushroom. Acheron congratulated him. He had mastered the knowledge of creation magic. It then presented him with another gift, a small, intricate ring. This was the Ring of Dal, a magical artifact from a lost civilization. It could store materials in a pocket dimension for his magic. Inside were 10 magic stones, essential for crafting powerful items. The stones could also be used to invent entirely new spells. Acheron said it no longer needed them, as it was trapped here. Yuki looked at his small mentor with sadness and empathy. Acheron explained its help ended here. He must find the herbs himself. With creation magic, Acheron said, he could easily heal his leg. Yuki looked down, contemplating this first step into his new life. He closed his eyes, gathering his courage for the task ahead. He asked Acheron if it was sure about entrusting him with such power. Acheron admitted that it simply wanted to take a gamble on him. Yuki was humbled and speechless by this unexpected show of faith. Acheron warned that even so, he was not yet ready to face the Demon King. He must gather allies and materials, gaining experience in this new world. He understood the immense weight of the responsibility he now carried. "In my place," Acheron requested, "please save this world." He looked at the powerful ring, a symbol of his promise. He clenched his hand into a firm, determined fist. He gently placed his fist on Acheron's small wooden head. Kneeling before his mentor, he quietly accepted his new destiny. Stepping through a magical door, he found himself in a sunlit forest. He recalled Acheron's lessons on the world's geography and its peoples. He easily found the herbs needed for the healing spell. Focusing his will, he combined the materials and cast the incantation. His foot landed firmly on the ground, his leg completely restored. He stomped his healed leg, amazed at the magic's incredible power. He gazed at his hand, contemplating the reality of creation magic. He realized that with materials, he could now cast any spell he wished. Knowing the forest was rich with resources, he began to gather them. A sudden rustling in the undergrowth put him on high alert. He held up a hand, trying to calm his racing heart. Facing a goblin, he tried to reason with it, hoping to avoid a fight. He pleaded that he didn't want to kill, but the goblin just snarled. Its only reply was a bloodthirsty grin, promising violence. It was no use. The creature lunged forward to attack him. He realized then that this was a cruel world where he had to fight to live. The goblin's claws were inches from his face, ready to tear him apart. He let out a desperate, primal scream of pure terror. In his panic, he instinctively channeled a spark of magic to his finger. A destructive beam of raw energy shot from his fingertip. The power of creation magic was unleashed for the first time. The beam struck true and the goblin's head violently exploded. Its headless corpse was thrown backward into the tall grass. He collapsed to the ground, shaking and panting from the ordeal. Staring at his trembling finger, he realized what he had just done. He looked at the smoldering corpse, the first life he had ever taken. The grim reality of his action hit him with crushing force. Overcome with horror and disgust, he turned away and vomited. He collapsed to the ground, weeping and cursing his cruel fate. But through his tears, he knew he had to become stronger to survive. He vowed to master this power to protect Yuna and honor Acheron. He recalled the cold school building on the night he was banished. The vote was final, 15-4, a sentence of exile. He remembered the indifferent faces of his classmates as they cast him out. Only Yuna's face was etched with worry and despair for him. He remembered the humiliation of the bullies who tormented him daily. But now he could create a hamburger, a taste of his old life. Using a memory stone and nourishment leaves, he could make food. By combining these simple materials with his knowledge, he could now recreate any meal he had ever tasted. He thought back to the weak person he had been just a short time ago. Back then, he was the one forced to eat disgusting things. But that life and those cruel people no longer mattered at all. I'm forced to eat this, biting down hard on my meager rations. Let them eat their foul-smelling grass for all I care. But my thoughts drift back to her, the one who was kind. I wish Yuna, the one who saved me, could have this instead. I wish she could have something good to eat. This all started with the banishment from the school. I couldn't believe it when they told me Yuna had been exiled. They accused her of stealing their precious supply of dried meat. I insisted Yuna would never do such a thing, but they claimed she denied it. They claimed Irina and Mizue witnessed it, and the meat count was off. I refused to believe it. Those two always saw Yuna as a rival. Irina, high on the social ladder, was jealous of Yuna's popularity. Mizue, the vice president, wanted her romantic rival gone. Another boy sneered that Yuna was an idiot for not accepting their demand. Their disgusting demand was a one-week lover's contract. The sickening reality of their cruelty washed over me. The leader smugly remarked it was a shame she hadn't come to him. My hand clenched into a fist, trembling with rage. I struggled to process what he was implying. They exiled her simply because she refused to be their plaything. They cast us both out for such a pathetic, selfish reason. Now they tell me I must pay a price to re-enter school grounds. A price? What could they possibly want from this desolate wasteland? 10 berries or some edible grass would buy me one day of safety. An idea sparked in my mind. What if I brought them meat? My unexpected proposal left them momentarily speechless. He laughed, mockingly offering a 1-month stay for such a prize. His final words were a sarcastic prayer for my success. I activated my ring spell, Trace, to find someone I've touched before. A small orb of light appeared, and I followed it into the woods. I had to find Yuna, and I had to find her quickly. The light led me to the strange, glowing entrance of a dark cave. It hovered deep inside, illuminating the path forward to her. A glowing orb of light led him from a dark, crystalline cave. It guided him down a stone corridor towards a heavy, barred wooden door. He passed a horrifying sight, brains and eyes floating inside glass jars. With a loud creak, he pushed open the heavy door to see inside. He found Yuna on the floor, unconscious, and desperately called out her name. He cradled her in his arms, pleading for her to hang in there. Slowly, her eyelids began to flutter, revealing a glimpse of her eye. Her eyes finally opened, focusing on the face of her rescuer. He asked if she was all right as she weakly confirmed his name. She explained her captor had injected her with some unknown substance. A sharp gasp escaped his lips as the horrible truth sank in. He blamed himself, saying he was sorry for leaving her behind that time. She managed a weak smile, telling him she was happy he came for her. Her words of gratitude left him stunned and deeply moved. As she thanked him one last time, a sudden noise interrupted the moment. An invisible force slammed into his back, sending him flying across the room. A clawed hand appeared, its owner mocking the foolish man who came to help. The creature taunted him, saying a magicless otherworlder could do nothing here. He stared in disbelief, trying to comprehend what was happening to him. He looked up in terror at the pale, three-eyed creature looming over him. The monster ignored him, instead reaching its hand toward Yuna's still face. It pried her eye open, observing that its concoction was mixing well. Yuki demanded to know what it had done, but it simply dismissed his question. The creature revealed its terrible deed. It had turned the girl into a monster. The revelation struck Yuki with pure, unadulterated horror. It boasted of its masterpiece, a blend of dragon fang and succubus blood. He asked why, and the monster explained its desire to create a powerful life form. It seized her arm, declaring her its personal slave. Jakuta cackled that she would be its slave, useful for more than just battle. It then dragged its grotesque tongue across her cheek as she let out a groan. He watched paralyzed, whispering desperately for the creature to stop its violation. Memories of past bullies flashed through his mind. He couldn't let her be hurt again. His despair ignited into fury, and he vowed he would never let them hurt her. The robed figure held out his hand, declaring that any resistance was useless. He explained that the young man was paralyzed, having no resistance to magic. The mage promised to put his corpse to use, telling him to die peacefully. But the young man resolved that this time would be different. A brilliant beam of energy suddenly erupted from the ring on his finger. He lunged forward, screaming his vow to protect his friend at all costs. The mage could only stammer in disbelief at this impossible turn of events. With a violent blast, the energy beam obliterated the creature's head. Yuki stood over the corpse, panting heavily from the shock and exertion. He took a moment to compose himself after the life-or-death struggle. Rushing to his companion's side, he asked if she was okay. He called out her name, Yuna, trying to wake her from unconsciousness. He sighed with immense relief, realizing she was merely sleeping. His thoughts immediately turned to finding a cure for the monster curse afflicting her. After moving Yuna to a small side room, he made her comfortable. His creation magic was stronger, but the key ingredient for the cure was missing. As he slumped in despair, Yuna suddenly began to stir behind him. The pain from the battle overwhelmed him, and his consciousness began to fade. The world started to blur and darken around the edges. His vision swam as he finally succumbed to complete exhaustion. Everything went blank as he passed out on the cold stone floor. He slowly awoke, seeing Yuna's face reflected in his own eye. With her body over his, she softly asked if he was awake now. He stared in shock, calling out her name as he realized their position. He weakly pushed against her, asking what she was doing. She leaned closer, telling him that he must understand her feelings for him. She confessed that she had felt this way about him for a long time. With tears in her eyes, she whispered his name, Yuki. She finally told him the truth, that she was in love with him. Her eyes warped into broken hearts as she asked if he hated her. He pleaded with her, but she whispered that she couldn't control herself anymore. As dark energy seeped from her lips, she urged him to join her. He realized she wasn't herself and knew he had to save her, fast. He collapses in a burst of light, desperately creating a new spell to cure his affliction. A strange transformation begins, her pupils shining brightly in the shape of a heart. In an instant, her loving gaze morphs into that of a cold-blooded predator. Her eye then widens into a sparkling, innocent orb of pure, utter confusion. Finding herself atop Yuki, Yuna worriedly asks if her collapsed classmate is all right. A sudden, overwhelming sensation causes her to blush and panic in sheer embarrassment. With a startled cry, she desperately scrambles backward across the cold stone floor. She yells that it's a misunderstanding. A strange feeling just came over her. Yuki sits up, recalling a monster's claim that she now has succubus blood. Yuna is bewildered by her body's changes, unable to comprehend what is happening. Yuki tries to soothe her, calmly asking Yuna to listen to his explanation. He proceeded to tell her everything, including his powerful creation magic ability. Yuna asks if obtaining the phantom demon fossil will restore her original body. He confirms it's possible, but warns that finding the rare material may take time. Her hope falters for a moment as she processes the difficult road ahead. Yuki looks at her, beginning to make a firm and heartfelt promise to her. He smiles with determination, vowing that he will absolutely find it for her. His unwavering promise makes her blush, touching her heart in this dark place. Overwhelmed by his kindness, she can only look down, speechless and blushing. She thanks him, but he insists helping a childhood friend and classmate is natural. The simple mention of being classmates seems to leave Yuna feeling quietly perplexed. He then asks her directly if she wishes to go back to the school. If she wants to return, he offers to negotiate with their classmates for her. She declines, believing everyone thinks she's useless and fears being near the boys. She recalls the strange, embarrassing feelings that overwhelmed her just a moment ago. Despite her fears and worries about the others, she has an important exception. Hiding her face, she murmurs that if it is with Yuki, then it's okay. Surprised, he listens as she clarifies her feelings are not for just anyone. With her face still hidden, she confesses that she wants to be with him. Peeking over her arm, she shyly asks if her desire is a bad thing. He smiles gently, assuring her that her feelings are not a bad thing. He then cheerfully suggests that in that case, they should live together. Her face lights up with a brilliant, happy smile as she eagerly agrees. Now decided, he says they must build a house, surprising her with the idea. He explains that while it is possible, he first needs the necessary knowledge. Since they are doing this, he resolves to build a very sturdy house. He'll head to the school library to look for books on architecture. She decides to wait, admitting she does not want to see the others. She reassures him that it's safe and she'll alert him if anything happens. He looks down, a bead of sweat showing his concern for leaving her alone. She will use a concealment spell for safety, thanking him for his efforts. The imposing school building stands as a fortress in this strange new world. He walks into the classroom, facing the gathered students who have cast him out. A blonde classmate smirks, cynically asking if Yuki actually brought them any food. Yuki ignores him, stating he has something important to tell everyone first. He starts to address the matter of how they banished both him and Yuna. The boy scoffs, reminding him their expulsion was decided by a majority vote. Yuki argues back, insisting this dangerous other world requires cooperation between everyone. Some are skilled at combat, while others are good at gathering food supplies. As classmates, he argues, they should all be helping each other as comrades. The class representative adjusts his glasses, agreeing that cooperating is the right idea. However, he coldly informs Yuki that he is not considered one of them. He then cruelly shouts that Yuki is nothing more than a simple parasite. The word parasite echoes in his mind, leaving him completely stunned and horrified. He lists Yuki's faults, useless at fighting and unable to gather food supplies. Another student steps forward, loudly declaring his agreement with the representative's assessment. In the background, other students can be heard snickering cruelly amongst themselves. A boy with a manic grin declares that he and Yuna are strangers now. The classroom fills with jeers, telling him to go survive in the forest. The blonde boy smirks, agreeing with the cruel mob mentality of the class. Yet another classmate chimes in, saying they wouldn't be troubled without Yuki. The representative demands the food, calling it a business-like transaction between them now. Yuki's eyes darken as he finally understands their cold, transactional way of thinking. His hand rests on the large bundle he brought with him to the classroom. He places the bundle on the desk, asking if this offering will be enough. The representative asks what it is. Yuki counters by asking if he's eaten it. He reveals his creation, a perfectly replicated Big Mac hamburger from McDonald's. The students are stunned into silence. He confirms he brought enough for everyone. The representative thinks it's a hallucination, but Yuki dares him to try it. The representative swallows nervously, his skepticism warring with a desperate, growing hunger. The other hungry students watch him with intense, silent, and desperate anticipation. The burger and drink are shown in all their glory, a perfect replica. This is contrasted with the pitiful, watery soup they had been surviving on. He holds the burger, the weight of his classmates' hunger resting on him. He finally gives in to temptation, bringing the nostalgic food to his lips. His eyes widen behind his glasses, utterly shocked by the first incredible bite. The taste of beef, lettuce, and pickles floods his senses with nostalgic bliss. Overcome with emotion from the familiar taste, tears begin to stream down his face. He sobs while chewing, confirming through tears that it is a real Big Mac. The other students erupt, desperately clamoring for him to let them eat too. Two boys eat their burgers with pure, unadulterated joy and frantic speed. Another student savors his bite, tears of absolute happiness streaming down his face. A girl closes her eyes and weeps, overwhelmed by this taste of home. Having fed them, Yuki coldly informs the representative he will use the library. The stunned representative can only agree as Yuki turns his back to leave. As Yuki walks away, the representative suddenly calls out his name in desperation. Another boy excitedly asks if they will be able to get more Big Macs. They celebrate loudly, calling the burger the food of gods, solving their problems. Yuki cuts through their joy, stating plainly that there is none for tomorrow. He announces he's leaving for the night, confusing the others about their deal. He turns back with a chilling smile, saying that's too bad for them. His former classmates are left completely speechless, shocked by his sudden declaration. He continues speaking, his voice low and full of a quiet, building rage. His face contorts with anger, saying he never wants to hear their hypocrisy. The representative sweats profusely, finally understanding the gravity of his cruel misjudgment. His friend admits that while Yuki was injured, his value has now increased. One boy raves that the Big Mag is 100 times better than hunted birds. A girl asks hopefully if they will stop being called useless by the others. One of the bullies stammers that of course they will, still in shock. The main bully runs toward Yuki, demanding to know if he'll eat alone. He desperately shouts that they are classmates and are supposed to help each other. "Don't mess with me," he seethed, his voice a low, dangerous growl. His classmates had just proposed they help each other as friends. But he remembered their harsh words, casting both him and Yuna out. They were the ones who had called him a complete and utter stranger. His accuser fell to his knees, trembling under the weight of his hypocrisy. The others tried to smooth things over, suggesting a purely business-like arrangement. Their leader was left speechless, his manipulative plan completely falling apart. He left them with a final, cold offer of future, transactional help. Other students seethed with frustration as he walked away from them. But one girl watched the scene unfold with a subtle, knowing smirk. Later that night, the school building was silent under a crescent moon. He sought refuge from the day's drama inside the school library. He sat under a lamp poring over books about building and architecture. His current knowledge felt hopelessly insufficient for the grand plans he had. Suddenly, a voice cut the silence, and he looked up to see Eri. It was Arina Himikawa, a queen of the school's social hierarchy. He watched her approach with cautious, untrusting eyes, saying nothing. She immediately questioned him about the impossible Big Mac he had produced. It couldn't have been obtained, she reasoned, without the use of magic. He deflected, reminding her he was busy surviving her betrayal to notice. He trailed off, offering no more details about his mysterious benefactor. She correctly deduced that he had learned a powerful creation magic. She suggested they forget the past and instead focus on the future. She proposed a contract in exchange of protection for physical pleasure. This was the new grim reality of their survival in this world. She acknowledged his feelings weren't for her, but for another girl, Yuna. She recalled how Yuna, his childhood friend, had defended him. But Yuna was gone, she argued, and she could make him forget. It was not a bad offer, she insisted with a confident smile. He stood up from his seat, deciding to decline her proposition. He told her plainly that he simply could not trust a word she said. Besides, he had far more important things he needed to accomplish. She was stunned that any man would dare to refuse her advances. As he left, he dropped a bombshell. Yuna was, in fact, alive. He wasn't lying. He planned to build a house for them to live in. Her face contorted with a mixture of shock, anger, and disbelief. Then her shock quickly melted away into a dark, calculating smile. She taunted that living in the forest was suicide no matter what. He remembered their desperate pleas for help, offering him food in return. She looked forward to his failure with a chilling, predatory excitement. The night deepened, the thin moon hanging like a silver claw. Within the school, tensions continued to simmer beneath the quiet surface. Meanwhile, somewhere far away, a different story was unfolding. In a hidden place, Yuna asked Yuki if he was okay. He admitted that he was exhausted after all his hard work. Seeing his fatigue, Yuna took his hand, her concern unspoken. She offered to give him a massage, the only comfort she could provide. It was the one thing she could do to help him right now. He reluctantly agreed, flustered by her unexpected and kind gesture. As she worked on his shoulders, she wondered if she was doing it right. He didn't know, but her touch was surprisingly gentle and effective. He mumbled incoherently, already drifting off under her soothing care. He whispered that he could endure anything because he had her with him. His breathing evened out as he finally succumbed to his exhaustion. She watched over him with a gentle, protective smile on her face. It had been an incredibly long and difficult day for them both. The very next morning, Yuna stared ahead in complete and utter shock. Before them stood a mansion, which Yuki claimed he built with magic. He had modeled it after a designer home he once visited with his family. He even created a generator to power modern luxuries like air conditioning. And that was not the only modern convenience he had miraculously created. For their first meal in their new home, he prepared something special. She ate the delicious pasta with a look of pure, unadulterated bliss. His magic was incredible, but it still required raw materials to work. Night fell upon their new, impossible, and wonderfully safe home. He collapsed onto a soft bed, grateful for the simple comfort of electricity. But as he lay there, his thoughts drifted back to an earlier confrontation. A few hours ago, his classmates had tried to welcome him back. One girl had protested, calling Yuna a thief over a piece of jerky. The vice chairman offered him a lover's contract with 3 other girls. They promised him an easy life as the class ace for his food. He thought about the school and everything that it now represented. He had made his decision. He was never, ever going back to them. He told them he wasn't interested and had no reason to return. The class bully, furious at his rejection, stormed towards him. He grabbed him, threatening to use force to make him comply. Yuki calmly raised his hand, a ring glinting on his finger. His eyes were cold, his voice dangerously calm and full of intent. He reminded them all that he never said he couldn't use attack magic. The bully instantly recoiled in fear, his bravado completely vanishing. Back in the present, he scoffed at their convenient change of heart. He told Yuna his plan to travel to the nearest town, 100 kilometers away. It was time to gather allies for the coming fight against the Demon King. He needed to repay a debt and gather materials not found in the forest. Yuna listened to his reasons, her expression serious and understanding. After a moment of thought, she came to a firm decision. "Then I want to go with you," she declared, much to his surprise. He tried to dissuade her, insisting the journey would be too dangerous. But she was resolute, insisting she wanted to be by his side. "Don't worry about me," she said, her voice filled with confidence. To prove her point, she effortlessly crushed a solid metal frame. She lifted the heavy object with one hand, simply stating, "Because I'm strong." He realized her incredible strength must be from the medicine he gave her. She had tested her new abilities and found she was now superhumanly strong. Lifting a 100-kilogram table with one hand was beyond human. She admitted that at first she had been terrified of this change. But now she was happy because with this newfound power, he finally understood and agreed to let her come with him. She could finally be useful and help protect him on his journey. "I will protect you, Yuki," she declared, flexing for a shocked him. My heart pounds uncontrollably as I stare, beads of sweat on my face. Something is definitely wrong. I get a strange feeling looking at her. Could it be that she possesses the alluring power of a succubus? She looks at me confused as I mutter about needing a solution. She holds up the glasses I gave her, asking what they are. I explain that she might not know her blood attracts men. She asks if she truly has that effect as I look away shyly. I confess that being near her makes me feel incredibly flustered. She blushes, finally understanding the reason for my strange behavior. She tries on the glasses, shyly wondering if they look good on her. I am stunned silent for a moment before stammering that they do. I announce that I've prepared our adventuring gear so we can leave. Now dressed for a new world, I say it's time to go. 3 days later, we make our way through a dense, wild forest. I assure her we have plenty of food and a good camping tent. The tent is conveniently stored inside a magical ring for easy travel. With our new weapons and armor, fighting monsters has become much easier. My sword has a fire enchantment, and my clothes are magically protected. She notes that I've changed, wondering if I have become stronger. I quietly ponder her words, questioning if I am truly stronger now. I'm less tense facing goblins, but I still hesitate to take a life. She apologizes for asking such a strange question about my change. I wave it off, saying this new world just makes me sensitive. A sudden rustling sound from the nearby bushes startles us both. A towering ogre emerges, and I shout its name in pure shock. The ogre's eyes glow with a menacing light as it lets out a roar. I scream for Yuna to get back as the monster swings its huge club. I charge forward with my flaming sword, aiming for the beast's leg. My attack is effortlessly swatted aside by the ogre's immense strength. I look up in terror as the massive creature looms over me. In a moment of panic, I realize I have made a grave mistake. A foot suddenly plants itself firmly on the ground, bracing for impact. Yuna intercepts the attack, her fist meeting the ogre's club head-on. The impact of her punch sends a powerful shockwave through the forest. The ogre's massive wooden club completely shatters from the incredible force. Leaves and splinters fly everywhere as the shockwave rips through the clearing. The dazed ogre is sent flying backward into a large tree stump. Stunned but safe, I manage to offer her my thanks for saving me. I quickly get to my feet and worriedly ask if she is all right. She smiles, assuring me she's fine because she has become super strong. My eyes widen in complete disbelief at her incredible display of power. I clench my fist tightly, a new and powerful resolve burning inside me. Our journey continues, marking the end of one challenge and another's beginning. As we travel, she encourages me to keep pressing onward with her. 11 days after leaving home, we finally arrive in a bustling city. We stand in awe, looking out over the magnificent city of Yotado. We learn from a local that this city is famous for its alchemy. It is also a busy hub, filled with countless travelers and merchants. I explain that the city has a large adventurers guild for quests. I hope that we can find some strong allies to join us there. Registering with the guild will also give us official identification here. But before we get to business, I suggest we explore the city first. While walking, we are surprised to find she can read the local language. I realize this must mean our other classmates can understand it too. I can't help but wonder if there's a reason for this shared ability. I tell her how I sold my crafted potions to a shopkeeper for money. She praises my creation magic but worries we might attract unwanted attention. I agree it's a risk, but I must gather rare materials to improve. I confidently tell her not to worry because I will get much stronger. She looks at me with wide, concerned eyes, sensing my determination. The light glints off her glasses as she quietly considers my words. She gently asks if I am pushing myself too hard to achieve my goals. She says it feels like I'm trying to carry every burden alone. With resolve in her eyes, she declares that she will get stronger too. She walks toward me, determined to make her feelings perfectly clear. She tells me she wants to help me, to be a true partner. She softly takes my hand in hers, a gesture of solidarity. With a warm smile, she reminds me that we are companions now. I look at her, deeply moved by her heartfelt promise of support. Her words inspire me, and I clench my other fist with renewed purpose. For a moment, I am speechless, a small smile gracing my lips. I squeeze her hand back tightly, accepting her vow of partnership. I thank her sincerely and promise we will become stronger together. She looks up at me, her eyes filled with surprise and happiness. Suddenly flustered, she apologizes for grabbing my hand so abruptly. I tell her it's fine and suggest we head to the guild for materials. As we walk, a large boot suddenly steps into our path, stopping us. A smirking man with a strange earring calls out to his companion. Two intimidating thugs confront us, saying they heard about my potions. I realize with a jolt they must have overheard my shop conversation. They introduce themselves as the Black Condors and ask what we're doing here. The leader boasts that they are a powerful A-rank adventurer group. He says a skilled alchemist like me would be a great asset. He smirks, adding that they'll of course take my female companion too. His lewd comment about her other uses makes my blood run cold. I calmly ask if they would help me achieve my ultimate objective. With intense focus, I state my goal is to defeat Demon Lord Zolds. The two thugs are struck completely silent by my bold declaration. Their shock quickly turns into loud, unrestrained, and mocking laughter. They call me a fool for pursuing such a hopeless and pointless goal. I ask if it's truly pointless, secretly relieved by their reaction. It seems they didn't overhear me mention my unique creation magic. Since our goals don't align, I calmly refuse their recruitment offer. The leader's face twists in fury as he asks if I dare refuse. I turn to leave, stating plainly that our objectives are just too different. He sneers, calling me a stupid brat who doesn't know what's good for him. He suddenly lunges at me, throwing a powerful and aggressive punch. He snarls that if I won't join, I'm going to get hurt. His massive fist rushes directly towards my stunned and unprepared face. Yuna's eye transforms, her pupil narrowing into a dangerous reptilian slit. A single monstrous eye stared out, bloodshot and filled with rage. A gloved hand descended, crushing the monster's skull with immense force. A burly man fell to his knees, screaming in pure, unadulterated agony. He gasped in disbelief, utterly shocked by her incredible brutish strength. Yuna explained that since he tried to kill Yuki, she was allowed to kill him. She straddled his defeated form, promising she would try to go easy on him. With unnerving calm, she apologized in advance in case he happened to die. The man was reduced to a sobbing, terrified mess of sweat and tears. Just then, Yuki's gentle voice called out, telling Yuna that was enough. Yuna relented, stepping off the man as he groaned weakly. The man's friend helped him away, shouting that they would soon regret this. Yuna asked if letting them go was all right. Yuki simply thanked her. She beamed with delight, overjoyed that she had successfully protected Yuki. As people stared, Yuki decided they should just buy their materials and leave. Yuna asked about the guild, but he suggested they save that for another time. Yuki realized this new world also had violent people, and he must be careful. After their shopping, they used a teleportation spell and returned to their home. Upon arrival, both he and Yuna noticed something odd on their front door. A single piece of paper had been taped to their room's entrance. Yuna held the note in her hands, wondering aloud what it could be. Yuki looked on with a deeply troubled and uncertain expression on his face. She wondered if it was an apology, but Yuki was not so sure. He recalled how these same classmates had been the ones to exile them. He turned to Yuna, asking if she was truly okay with meeting them again. Yuna paused for a moment, looking down as she considered his question. She then looked up with a warm smile, thanking him for his concern. She reassured him that it was fine, because she had grown much stronger. She continued, her expression turning serious as she looked directly at him. As long as she was with Yuki, she felt she could face any problem. Yuki was visibly taken aback by her powerful and heartfelt declaration. He was deeply touched by her words, a gentle smile forming on his face. He agreed they should go, and she promised that she would protect him. From the school building, a voice noted that both of them had arrived. Two girls greeted them, offering Yuna makeup as a supposed sign of apology. They insisted Yuki go ahead to the classroom while they took Yuna with them. Yuki entered classroom 2A, where his male classmates were waiting for him. Their leader, Suichi, asked where he had been and why he looked different. Yuki's mention of a town 10 days away left Suichi completely stunned. Suichi processed this information, muttering about the 10-day journey. Yuki warned them not to go, as the path was filled with dangerous monsters. The other students scoffed, doubting his claims of dragons and ogres. Suichi conceded that making the journey would indeed be a difficult task. He asked if that was the only reason Yuki came, but Yuki denied it. Clearing his throat, Suichi changed the subject back to Yuki himself. He gestured grandly, stating he would acknowledge Yuki's brilliance. He listed Yuki's amazing feats, like building a fully powered house in a day. Then with a smirk, he added that despite all that, Yuki was an idiot. Another student sneered, remarking on the unbelievable turn of events. A different boy flashed a wide, maniacal grin, enjoying the confrontation. A nearby girl looked on nervously, worried about where this was heading. When Yuki asked what he meant, Suichi said it was exactly as it sounded. He declared that from this moment forward, Yuki would obey their every command. If he dared to refuse, he would lose something incredibly precious to him. He pointed a finger, naming his childhood friend, Takasaki Yuna, as the hostage. Yuki's eyes widened in horror as he demanded to know what they did to her. Suichi chuckled that nothing had happened yet, as long as she didn't resist. The class jeered that Yuki had gotten too cocky after they had expelled him. Suichi listed his demands: Big Macs daily and the restoration of school utilities. He said it was a shame Yuki hadn't just refused their invitation to return. A bully taunted Yuki, telling him he had better get a move on. He warned that their delinquent, Kyoichiro, was with Yuna and ready to act. Yuki's expression hardened, his eyes filling with a cold, determined light. He stood perfectly still, closing his eyes in silent contemplation. A strange dragging sound from the hall made him think they should be worried. The students heard it too, wondering if a monster was approaching. The classroom door slid open, revealing a dark silhouette in the frame. It was Yuna, dragging an unconscious Kyoichiro while calling them all horrible. Every student in the room stared with expressions of pure, unadulterated shock. Their faces were a mixture of abject fear and total, utter confusion. Yuna glared down at the body, remarking on his attempt to take her hostage. Suichi stammered, asking Yuki if Yuna was responsible for this. She confirmed it, explaining he grabbed her before slamming him to the floor. A student cried out in bewilderment, demanding to know what was going on. Another panicked student desperately called out Suichi's name for help. Suichi tried to backpedal, claiming it was a misunderstanding with no ill intent. Yuna coldly questioned why he would try to take a hostage as an apology. Suichi could only stammer, completely unable to form a coherent excuse. Another student, Kojiro, grew impatient and told Suichi to shut up. He charged at Yuna with a pipe, screaming for her to make their food. Suichi yelled Kojiru's name in a panic, trying desperately to stop him. The air filled with the sharp, powerful sound of a sudden impact. Yuna had effortlessly launched Kojiro into the air with a single, swift kick. He crashed violently into the ceiling as a girl cowered in terror below. Yuna dusted her hands off, apologizing that she only meant to kick him lightly. The students whispered in fear, noting her impossible, inhuman strength. She explained it wasn't magic. She had just gotten stronger from fighting ogres. Her casual mention of defeating over 10 ogres stunned them into silence. Suichi could only repeat the word ogres in utter disbelief. Yuki knew they were shocked because they had personally witnessed an ogre's power. A blonde girl pointed accusingly, calling Yuna the lowest of the low for her violence. Yuna calmly retorted that they were the ones who had tried to restrain her first. She then reminded the girl that they were the ones who had been exiled. The blonde girl was struck completely speechless by Yuna's logical comeback. She trembled with a mixture of humiliation and impotent rage. She lunged forward, screaming about Yuna's weird glasses, and swatted them away. The camera zoomed in on Yuna's eye, now unobscured by the lens. The intricate, almost glowing pattern within her pupil was fully revealed. Without her glasses, Yuna's breathtaking beauty captivated the entire room. She looked around the silent classroom, slightly confused by the sudden change. Yuki stared, thinking her charm was overwhelming, feeling his body grow hot. A classmate noticed Yuna's skin was finer, and her eyes had changed color. Two leering boys whispered to each other that she was irresistible. A girl in armor snatched Yuna's glasses, who desperately cried for them back. Yuki arrived, stating that forcing Yuna to do anything was out of the question. The group's bespectacled leader was left sweating and speechless. Yuki stared him down, waiting for a response. The leader eyed a nearby crate of rocks, thinking it was his only move. As Yuna called his name, Yuki strode forward with purpose. He recognized the contents of the crate as stones used in monster attacks. He knelt down, sensing one of the stones was different from the rest. He retrieved a dark orb, identifying it as a rare and powerful magic stone. The leader asked what the stone was as Yuki addressed him as chairman. Yuki held the valuable stone out, simply asking if he could have it. The chairman explained to his confused friends that the stone was surprisingly valuable. Yuki reasoned they should hand it over, as they were going to lose anyway. However, he admitted he didn't want to just cheat them out of it. The leader, seeing an opening, suggested they handle this like a business deal. Yuki smiled, thinking to himself what a convenient expression that was. He explained the stone was only useful to him, much to the chairman's surprise. As a trade, he offered to provide a meal for everyone, who cheered in delight. One student hopefully asked for a Big Mac, but Yuki had a better idea. With a flourish of his hand, Yuki began to channel his creation magic. He summoned steaming bowls of Sukya Gyudon, much to everyone's astonishment. The former bullies ate with gusto, crying that the food was purifying their bodies. With the conflict resolved, Yuki asked Yuna if she was ready to go home. From the crowd, a voice called for Yuki, desperately asking for a second helping. That night, 2 moons shone brightly in the sky over a modern home. In his bedroom, Yuki sat and contemplated a glowing magical interface. He reviewed the new rare materials he'd acquired, ready to enhance his gear. He fell back on his bed, hopeful that his ultimate goal was now achievable. He glanced at the ring on his finger, a reminder of his objective. His greatest wish was to find a way to return to his original world. Clenching his fist, he vowed to master creation magic to make it happen. His determined thoughts were suddenly interrupted by a knock on his door. He opened it and was surprised to see Yuna standing in the hallway. He asked her what was wrong, concerned by her late-night visit. Dressed in her pajamas, Yuna apologized for bothering him so late. She nervously said she had something very important she needed to tell him. Fidgeting, she stammered that she had tried to say it once before. She then bowed her head deeply and confessed that she was in love with him. Yuna's face was flushed bright red with nervous embarrassment. Yuki was equally flustered, blushing and sweating from the sudden confession. She began steaming from the heat of her blush as he stammered in reply. Her thoughts raced, recalling how her body grew hot whenever she thought of him. A blushing Yuki admitted that he didn't quite understand her feelings. She insisted that what she was feeling was very real. Yuki listened in silence, his eyes wide with surprise. He told her that if she truly liked him, then that made him very happy. However, he gently suggested her feelings might be caused by her succubus blood. She repeated his words, shocked to hear about succubus blood. He explained that succubi are demons driven by lust, which could affect her emotions. Yuna processed the information, quietly wondering what that meant for her. She asked if she was just mistaking a desire for lewd acts for true love. He confirmed that it was a possibility, given how she described her feelings. He stepped forward, his expression changing to one of firm resolution. He promised to find the phantom demon fossil and cure her monster transformation. Her spirits lifted, and she declared that they would find the fossil together. She then added that once she was back to her normal self, she fidgeted nervously, trying to find the right words for her question. If she discovered that her feelings for him were indeed real, she looked up at him with hope shining in her teary eyes. She shyly asked if, at that time, he would agree to be her boyfriend. Yuki was completely stunned, unable to believe what he was hearing. Yuna flinched at his silence, bracing herself for his answer. She looked at him with a hopeful, questioning gaze. With a timid voice, she asked if his silence meant no. Blushing intensely, he quickly began to stammer out a reply. He confessed that he would also be very happy to be her boyfriend. In fact, he exclaimed, becoming her boyfriend would be the greatest thing ever. Yuna's face broke into a radiant, relieved, and beautiful smile. Yuki vowed to find the fossil quickly to discover her true feelings for him. They decided to resume their quest the next day in the town of Yotado. Soon they stood before the magnificent Adventurers Guild in the heart of the town. The camera focused on a gleaming S-rank adventurer's identification plate. Inside the guild, Yuki nervously approached a figure at the bar with a request. A tough-looking cat person gruffly replied that any favor required touching his paw pads. The scene shifted back to an overview of the bustling town square. A title page announced the start of a new chapter, featuring the main duo. Inside the guild, other adventurers were busy checking the quest board for jobs. Yuki and Yuna walked with purpose through the grand, high-ceilinged main hall. At the counter, Yuki politely informed the receptionist they wished to register. The elf receptionist Irun introduced herself, and they gave her their names. When Irun asked if they were from another world, Yuki confirmed they were. She cheerfully replied that it was no problem, as others had come before. After a simple and straightforward process, their registration was successfully completed. Irun handed them their new identification plates, marking them as F-rank adventurers. She explained that with few exceptions, all new adventurers started F-rank. She then illustrated the ranking system, a pyramid leading to the empty S-rank. Her most important piece of advice was to prioritize survival over ranking up. The stark warning about not dying gave the two newcomers a moment of pause. Irun strongly recommended they find a party or join a large, strong group. Yuki asked if she knew of a large group called the Black Vultures. He sheepishly admitted that he had been invited to join them, but had declined. Irun was surprised, stating that they were a group with a good track record. Yuki recalled their thuggish nature, saying they just weren't a good match. Irun suggested they visit the guild's tavern to find other potential allies. The view panned across the stately exterior of the guild building once more. A classic wooden sign, depicting a frothy mug, hung outside the tavern. They entered the lively establishment and walked up to the bar. The bald bartender turned to face them, a skeptical look on his face. An adventurer's badge for F-rank was shown, belonging to one of two newcomers. The bartender asked the pair if they were looking for a vanguard, a mage perhaps. The young man clarified that he was not a mage, but an alchemist. The bartender gestured towards the stage, telling them to announce their intentions there. With a sharp ring of a bell, the bartender called for everyone's attention. He loudly announced that the two youngsters were looking for party members to join them. The tavern's patrons, a rough-looking crowd, turned to look with bored expressions. Their faces were filled with skepticism and disinterest as they sized up the newcomers. Laughter erupted as they mocked the idea of babysitting a pair of F-rank kids. The alchemist and his companion stood awkwardly, facing the room's scornful judgment. One leering adventurer made a crude proposition to the girl, who glared back furiously. The bartender tried to help, mentioning that the boy was a skilled alchemist. The crowd only laughed harder, dismissing an F-rank alchemist as completely useless. They jeered that he could only make low-level potions and would be useless in combat. A large, burly man approached, grabbing the young alchemist by his arm. He offered to let them join for 5 gold coins for a simple monster hunt. The man condescendingly promised they would help them fight goblins or orcs for that price. The alchemist considered the demeaning offer, looking as if he might just agree to it. Then he asked if they would be willing to help him subjugate the demon lord. The tavern exploded in laughter, mocking his seemingly childish and impossible dream of being a hero. The alchemist sighed, recognizing this was the same reaction he always received. Deciding it was a waste of time, he and his friend turned to leave. The patrons continued to mock them, saying even the strongest had failed against the demon lord. But the alchemist knew that was precisely the reason he had to succeed. The large adventurer boasted that not even the legendary S-rank warrior Kuro could win. A calm voice from the side suddenly asked if someone had mentioned his name. The adventurers turned around in shock, recognizing the figure who had just spoken. It was the Godspeed Dark Warrior, Kuro, an armored bipedal cat with an S-rank badge. The burly man who had been boasting began to stammer, suddenly terrified. The other adventurers quickly changed their tune, praising Kuro as the world's strongest warrior. The alchemist's companion saw an opportunity and whispered urgently to her friend. She suggested they try inviting the legendary S-rank warrior to join their party. The alchemist smiled, thinking that was an excellent idea worth trying. He just hoped that such a powerful warrior would even listen to lowly F-ranks. Kuro sat at the bar and ordered his usual, making the bartender extremely nervous. The other adventurers watched in fearful silence, a palpable tension filling the room. They couldn't believe the two F-ranks were actually going to approach the legend. The alchemist walked up to Kuro and nervously asked if he could make a request. Kuro turned, sternly warning them that they were not allowed to touch his paw pads. The alchemist was momentarily confused by the very specific and unexpected warning. He clarified he wanted Kuro to join their party to help defeat the Demon Lord. Kuro glanced at their F-rank badges, his expression filled with doubt and disbelief. He told them to give up, stating that they could never defeat the Demon Lord. Nearby, an adventurer chuckled, knowing Kuro rejected even the strongest parties. The alchemist insisted, his voice firm, explaining that they absolutely had to defeat Zoldes. Kuro remained unmoved, stating he cared nothing for their reasons, honor, or rewards. All he required in life was enough money to buy milk and sweet treats. He declared that his way of life was one without need for love or peace. The alchemist found it amusing that such a cute-looking cat was trying to sound so cool. So he challenged Kuro, saying if he wanted to join, he should prepare exquisite sweets. Kuro scoffed, boasting that his palate had been refined by countless sweets from many towns. The alchemist's ring began to glow as he prepared to meet the warrior's challenge. With a flash of light, he materialized a perfect fluffy choux cream pastry. He presented it as a food from another world, created with his alchemy. Kuro sniffed the pastry suspiciously, wondering if it could possibly taste as good as it smelled. The alchemist explained it was considered the most delicious, cream-filled sweet from his homeland. Kuro held the pastry, contemplating the bold claim of it being the best in the nation. He took a massive, decisive bite, the pastry disappearing into his mouth. His eyes shot wide open in an expression of pure, unadulterated shock. He began to devour the pastry with messy, frantic bites, unable to control himself. In a state of bliss, he declared it the food of the gods. Even after finishing, his heart and body trembled from the incredible, delicious experience. The alchemist was relieved, glad that the legendary warrior seemed to enjoy his creation. He had guessed the sweets of this world couldn't compare to his own worlds. He realized his ability to create food from his home was more useful than he thought. Kuro demanded to know his name, then asked if joining meant more choux cream. The alchemist, surprised but delighted, quickly confirmed that it did. A wide, sharp-toothed grin spread across Kuro's face as he made his decision. He dramatically announced to the stunned duo that he would become their companion. The entire tavern, which had been watching the scene unfold, was left speechless. The adventurers who had mocked them earlier stared with their jaws agape in disbelief. Kuro reflected internally on the strange fact that he, a loner, now had companions. The alchemist happily welcomed him to the party, ready to build trust together. As he began to speak formally, he was cut off by his new S-rank ally. Kuro insisted that there was no need for formal language between party members. They shook on it, now officially a team, ready for the journey ahead. The alchemist's companion then spoke up, but Kuro assumed she wanted to touch his paws. She surprised them both by asking if she could pet under his chin instead. She explained that he reminded her of her beloved black cat back home. Kuro, now part of the team, begrudgingly allowed it, much to her delight. She gently reached out her hand and began to stroke under his chin. She introduced herself as Yuna, while remarking how similar he felt to her cat, Pokomaru. She affectionately called him Kuro-chan, which clearly annoyed the mighty warrior. The newly formed party left the rowdy guild hall and set out together. Kuro declared he would sell his soul to a god for more choux cream. The alchemist, Yuki, could only sweat nervously at his new companion's intense passion. As they walked, Kuro asked if they were truly serious about defeating the Demon Lord. He listened intently, his feline eyes filled with a new, serious focus. He advised that to succeed, they would need more allies and a strong reputation. He then declared his first goal. He would make them both become S-rank adventurers. Defeating the Demon Lord, he explained, required the official backing of the nation. And no nation would ever support adventurers who were mocked and looked down upon. Fear of the Demon Lord was growing, making their task even more difficult. He looked at Yuki, wanting to be absolutely sure of his resolve. He asked one last time if, knowing all this, he still intended to fight Zoldes. Yuki met his gaze without flinching, his determination clear and unwavering. He clenched his fist and said he would, because he had made a promise. Kuro watched him in silence, taking in the weight of his young companion's words. Yuna smiled softly, her faith in her friend's conviction shining in her eyes. Kuro sighed, admitting he couldn't tell if Yuki was brave or just a fool. In a world far from home, his first priority had been finding a job. This new life took place under the strange, watchful gaze of two moons. A vote was held, sealing his fate, 10 in favor, 8 against. "Why are you expelling me?" the boy named Shiru roared in the classroom. A smug classmate told him his exile would help them befriend Yuki. The other students quickly piled on, blaming Shiru for their current hardships. They complained about their meager food, a comfort they'd lost because of him. Shiro's rage quietly boiled as he remembered their own hypocrisy. He screamed that they had all agreed to the expulsion, not just him. But their ringleader, Kuyama Keiichi, merely watched with a cruel, satisfied smile. He recalled the moment they had all celebrated Yuki's banishment. They had once applauded his actions, all agreeing Yuki was useless. The memory echoed in his mind. He wasn't the only one to blame. Their clapping haunted him under the light of the twin moons. Now alone in a dark forest, he punched the ground, screaming in frustration. He slammed his fist down again, his mind fixating on the cause. In his twisted thoughts, there was only one person responsible: Yuki. He muttered resentfully of Yuki's magic and the kindness Yuna showed him. It wasn't his fault. He listed every person who had wronged him. Crushing a helpless insect under his fist, he whispered a vow of murder. A dark and twisted laugh escaped his lips, full of pure malice. He realized that if the useless Yuki could learn magic, then so could he. His body began to warp with hatred, his goal clear: he must kill Yuki. The story shifts to Yuki's new life, beginning his first official quest. Their mission was to deal with a monster threat for the noble Frau family. Inside the family's grand mansion, their young client greeted them formally. They were introduced to Charlotte, a cat girl, and her elf knight Dylan. Yuki, Yuna, and their cat-like companion Kuro introduced themselves in turn. Kuro bluntly asked the young girl what had happened to her parents. She sadly explained that monsters had killed them, leaving her in charge. Her loyal knight, Dylan, watched over her with a pained expression. Kuro apologized, realizing how difficult her situation must be for her age. The tragic story left both Yuki and Yuna with somber expressions. Charlotte insisted that her own personal burden was not the greatest problem. Her troubles were nothing compared to the danger threatening her people. Her maturity and strength in the face of tragedy surprised them all. Even the stoic Kuro seemed impressed by the young girl's unwavering resolve. She placed all her hope in Kuro's famous party to protect her people. But Kuro quickly corrected her, stating that he was not the leader. He pointed to Yuki, revealing him as the F-rank alchemist in charge. Charlotte and Dylan were stunned to learn an F-rank led the party. Yuki could only laugh nervously, trying to brush off their surprise. Dylan was taken aback. She had expected nobility to be far more arrogant. Getting back to business, Dylan unrolled a large map on the table. 40 days ago, a horde of over 200 monsters had attacked. The brutal assault resulted in the deaths of more than 100 villagers. A subjugation team led by Charlotte's own father had been completely wiped out. Charlotte flinched, the painful memory of her father's death still fresh. The monster occupation had halted all work, from mining to farming. There was even evidence that monsters had begun scouting the village itself. Yuki asked if the monsters were truly strong enough to warrant such concern. Dylan confirmed with a worried expression that the monsters were powerful. But more terrifying than that was the possibility of a Mazoku's involvement. The mention of Mazoku immediately captured Kuro's serious attention. Yuna timidly raised her hand, having a question about this new word. She asked what exactly separated a Mazoku from a common monster. Kuro explained they were intelligent, magical beings who could lead armies. Yuna nervously concluded that they were simply on a completely different level. Yuki realized with a chill that Shiro must have been a Mazoku. Dylan added that a child had recently seen something strange among the horde. The child had described the terrifying and distinct figure of a horned man. Kuro concluded that if the sighting was true, it was definitely a Mazoku. He explained that their appearance and their unique blood could identify them. The monster horde was also unusually coordinated, moving like a trained army. This was why she had been so desperate to gather powerful adventurers. She looked at Yuki's party with great apprehension, the stakes incredibly high. Yuki nodded, finally grasping the full, desperate scope of their problem. He guessed she found his F-rank status unreliable, but was too polite to say. Kuro cut to the chase, asking for the location of the enemy's base. Dylan pointed to marked locations on the map where their lair might be. Kuro confidently declared that they would go there and defeat the Mazoku. Charlotte and Dylan's faces lit up with hope at his direct strategy. Suddenly, the doors burst open as a voice commanded them to wait. Kuro turned, annoyed by the rude and unexpected interruption. A B-rank adventurer named Karis from the Black Condors Guild strode in. Charlotte and her knight looked on, surprised by the brash new arrival. Yuna watched silently, taking in the scene with a neutral expression. He demanded they yield the quest, questioning if they could even win. He looked down on them with an arrogant and utterly confident smirk. He boasted of his 50 skilled men and a superior strategy already planned. He had prepared for this very mission with his numerous, loyal subordinates. He falsely claimed his guild accepted the quest first, leaving no room for debate. Kuro, unconcerned by the man's bluster, deferred the decision to Yuki. Yuna watched her friend, curious as to how he would handle the situation. Yuki considered the arrogant adventurer's proposal for a brief moment. Charlotte and Dylan watched the tense exchange with worried expressions. He calmly decided to concede, leaving the dangerous mission to them. Karas grinned, pleased that his intimidation tactics had worked so easily. He mockingly assigned them to village defense, a task fit for an F rank. Yuki laughed awkwardly at the insult, though Yuna was clearly not amused. Karas confidently promised Lady Charlotte that his guild would handle everything. Left with no other option, Charlotte formally entrusted the task to him. With their business concluded, the Black Condors departed from the mansion. Yuki knew he'd never get along with them, but avoiding conflict was best. Yuna asked if B-rank adventurers could even win, but Kuro gave no guarantees. Yuki understood their rivals were heading into an unknown, deadly danger. Meanwhile, the Black Condors charged confidently toward the monster's lair. They arrived only to find the enemy horde was far larger than reported. The adventurers were immediately swallowed by a chaotic, overwhelming battle. And then, a monstrous foot stepped forward. The true leader had arrived. A shadowy figure, clearly a leader, stands poised high above the forest floor. This foe is undoubtedly a demon of A rank or higher, a terrifying realization. A massive fireball engulfs an armored warrior as a comrade desperately calls out his name. The young man cries out in alarm, watching the powerful attack unfold before him. An eye, inhuman and veined with fury, glares as its owner seethes in frustration. The resulting explosion tears through the forest with devastating force, a cataclysmic blast. In the wake of the battle, only darkness and the scent of destruction remain. Later, under twin moons, someone expresses shock at the use of two magic types. The young man Yuki finally confesses his secret, apologizing for his delayed trust. The Catman Kuro realizes the strangeness he felt was due to creation magic. Kuro explains the unbelievable speed, creating a fresh, chilled pastry in a flash. Yuki is surprised to learn that speed is a key difference from alchemy. Creation magic, a genius's invention, can instantly craft weapons, armor, and more. Kuro asks if Yuki can use the magic as well as its legendary creator. Yuki believes his knowledge from another world will make the magic even stronger. Kuro asks if this insight came directly from the magic's creator, Acheron. With a gentle smile, Yuki confirms that it was indeed Acheron's message. Kuro's eye widens, a silent exclamation of surprise at this revelation. The girl Shuri listens with a kind and understanding smile on her face. With this power, defeating the Demon Lord seems like a real possibility now. The sound of urgent footsteps echoes through the halls, breaking the quiet night. An armored woman bursts in with terrible news of an ambush in the forest. The three companions are stunned into silence by the sudden dire report. They arrive to a massacre. Only 8 of 41 adventurers have survived. The clearing is a grim sight, filled with the gravely wounded and dying. Shuri looks on, horrified at the severity of everyone's terrible injuries. A single healer struggles desperately, but is completely overwhelmed by the casualties. The elf warrior explains that their potions are useless. They have no other healers. A single foot steps forward with determination, ready to take action. Yuki moves toward the wounded, and Shuri calls his name in question. A grizzled survivor recognizes Yuki as nothing more than a low-ranked adventurer. Yuki declares that he will help, shocking the desperate survivors. A rough hand forcefully grabs his shoulder, stopping him in his tracks. The warrior yells at him, telling the F-rank brat to stay out of it. Yuki's arm trembles, not with fear, but with a surge of raw emotion. He roars back, telling the man to shut up if he wants his friend saved. The warrior is taken aback, completely stunned by the young man's fierce outburst. The elf warrior watches the confrontation, her expression one of pure surprise. Kuro, however, watches with a knowing smirk, anticipating what's to come. Shuri looks on with admiration, a slight blush on her cheeks. Ignoring the others, Yuki places his hand on a dying man, telling him to hold still. A brilliant, warm light emanates from his hand, pulsing with healing energy. The light envelops the grievous wound, mending torn flesh and broken bone. In a matter of seconds, the fatal injury has vanished without a trace. The man sits up, completely healed, unable to believe how fast it happened. The other warrior is terrified, questioning if even S ranks possess such healing power. Yuki wastes no time, immediately moving to the next wounded adventurer. He is driven by a single thought. He must save every last person he can. The elf warrior marvels that a supposed alchemist can use such incredible healing magic. Kuro calmly states healing spells are better, much to the elf's exasperation. He notes that she is finally beginning to understand Yuki's true greatness. Shuri adds that his incredible power isn't something one can see at first glance. The elf warrior murmurs his full name, Mizusawa Yuki, in quiet awe. The last of the healed adventurers begins to sway, exhausted but alive. Believing he's finished, Yuki turns only to be called out to once more. The healed warrior asks if it was truly Yuki who saved them all. The man looks down, humbled, and admits that he feels no more pain. He clenches his fist, a gesture of deep, unspoken feeling. He bows his head low, offering a simple, heartfelt thank you. Yuki can only manage a small sound of surprise at the gesture. The other survivors, now sitting up, share looks of profound gratitude. One by one, they all voice their thanks, calling him an amazing person. The warrior who had yelled at him now watches with newfound respect. Kuro looks on with a pleased, almost smug expression, proud of his friend. Shuri beams, her happy expression showing her own pride in Yuki's actions. The elf warrior continues to watch, her face a mixture of confusion and awe. A small, gentle smile finally touches Yuki's lips as he accepts their thanks. His quiet reply of "You're welcome" hangs in the cool night air. Beneath the twin moons, a new threat is already gathering in the darkness. A goblin leader rallies its troops, asking if they are prepared for battle. A demonic commander gives the order to advance on the humans of Daehan village. The general roars for the complete and utter annihilation of their target. The Black Condor's sub-leader shares vital intelligence on the demon army's strength. Kuro coolly assesses the enemy as a reasonably strong demon threat. The elf warrior begins to offer words of reassurance to the concerned adventurers. Kuro confidently declares that his team will handle everything from this point on. They believe the enemy is overconfident, making this the perfect time to strike. Their plan includes using Yuki's teleportation to evacuate the village if needed. With reinforcements days away, failure is simply not an option for them. Yuki realizes Kuro isn't reckless, but is carefully and calmly assessing the situation. Shuri compliments Kuro's intelligence, but he refuses to let her touch his tail. Yuki can only offer a strained smile at their lighthearted, ill-timed banter. Suddenly, Kuro's whiskers twitch, sensing something approaching in the darkness. His whiskers have detected danger. He quickly orders them all to hide. Strange jellyfish-like creatures float silently over the canopy of the dark forest. Below, the heavy thudding footsteps of a marching army shake the ground. A platoon of heavily armed orcs and goblins marches through the undergrowth. They realize this must be the very same force that ambushed the adventurers. Shuri asks if Kuro's whiskers can pinpoint the exact location of monsters. He explains it's not just whiskers. He uses all his senses to track them. He deduces their plan, to split their forces and surround the village. Kuro grins, knowing that a divided enemy is a much easier target. Shuri turns to her companions, asking them what their next move will be. Kuro steps out from the bushes, his one-word reply filled with deadly intent. He leaps into action with a single, brutal declaration: he will kill them all. His blades flash, and the monsters fall in a spray of dark blood. The surviving monsters turn in confusion, unable to comprehend the sudden assault. He stands amidst them, a blur of motion, his twin blades ready to strike again. Yuki can only watch, stunned by the incredible, blinding speed of his friend. The enraged monsters roar and charge forward, swarming the lone, deadly warrior. The cat warrior, Kuro, acknowledged his own movements were beyond comprehension. His companions, Yuki and Yuna, could only stare in awe at the blur. In a split second, two large orc monsters were sliced completely in half. A nearby goblin was also cut down by a single, impossibly fast strike. The defeated goblin collapsed among the swords of its already fallen comrades. A second goblin was caught mid-scream as it too was instantly dispatched. The last enemy in the patrol vanished in a brilliant flash of light. This was the terrifying, overwhelming power of a true S-rank adventurer. Landing softly, Kuro casually asked if the fight was already over. He stood over the dead, stating such a battle was an easy win. Yuki and Yuna gulped nervously, completely intimidated by his incredible power. Kuro turned to them, announcing that they would be fighting in the next battle. He would handle the main demon while they fought to distract the minions. Yuki understood his role. He was to be a simple diversion. Their plan was to find the demon's unit or attack his hideout directly. They hurried through the forest, traveling under the light of 3 moons. From the bushes, they soon spotted another group of monsters up ahead. The demon wasn't here, but a new, abnormally large ogre led the patrol. Yuki declared that he and Yuna would launch a surprise attack on them. He was eager to go first because he wanted to test his new weapon. Kuro agreed, watching as his 2 companions ran ahead to take position. Yuki told Yuna he'd defeat the ogre first to cause chaos. He knew the ogre's hide was much tougher than a regular goblin's. The massive ogre stood guard, completely oblivious to the approaching danger. Deciding not to hold back, Yuki loaded a very special type of bullet. He aimed his magic gun Type 0, preparing to fire the shot. The powerful bullet streaked through the air toward its unsuspecting target. It flew directly towards a fatal weak spot on the ogre's neck. The bullet detonated on impact, obliterating the ogre's head in an explosion. Its massive, headless body crashed heavily to the ground amidst the flames. The remaining monsters stared in absolute shock at their fallen commander. From his hiding place, Yuki confirmed that his plan had worked perfectly. Yuna looked on from the side, her mouth agape in utter disbelief. The magic gun automatically corrected his aim and loaded from a magic ring. Its normal bullets were as powerful as a handgun from his old world. But for the ogre, he used a special exploder bullet that detonated. This weapon was created using his old video game knowledge and rare materials. For weaker monsters like goblins, he knew regular bullets were more than enough. An enemy goblin spotted Yuna and pointed her out to the others. Yuki used a firebomb bullet to instantly incinerate an attacking orc. The rest of the enraged monster horde began to charge toward them. Yuna moved to intercept, vowing they would not get close to Yuki. As she ran, a massive, double-bladed battle axe materialized in her hands. She stood ready for battle, wielding the impossibly large weapon with ease. The charging monsters stopped in their tracks, their faces filled with fear. She became a whirlwind of destruction, cutting down several enemies at once. Her axe, the Crimson Moon, could change size and even restore her stamina. Watching from afar, Kuro was impressed by the power of Yuki's creations. Yuna cheered that the weapon was amazing, light, and she felt no fatigue. The surviving monsters began to murmur amongst themselves, growing very uneasy. A new wave of goblins overcame their fear and charged forward to attack. Kuro noted that things always get more difficult when they call for backup. Suddenly, the cat warrior's ears twitched, sensing a powerful new threat. His eyes widened in alarm as he screamed a warning to Yuki. From the shadows, an unseen hand launched a volley of magical fireballs. Yuki saw the attack and desperately yelled for Yuna to run away. The fiery projectiles slammed into the ground, erupting in massive explosions. Yuna stood her ground, using the broadside of her axe as a shield. On the ground, Yuki worriedly asked if his companion was okay. He realized Yuna had bravely used her own body to protect him. They looked up together, sensing a new, overwhelming presence had arrived. A single clawed foot landed on the scorched earth before them. A fearsome horned demon wreathed in flames revealed himself to the party. Yuki realized this powerful new enemy must be the demon they were seeking. The demon mused that he was wondering why his ogre squad was delayed. Behind the powerful demon, an entire army of monsters began to emerge. One of his goblin minions just smirked, thinking the fight was already over. The demon announced to his troops that this time, their prey won't escape. The goblin soldiers grinned with malice, eager to attack the small party. The brutish orc warriors also stood ready, their expressions grim and hateful. Even the large ogres in the army looked on with murderous intent. The demon leader looked down on the adventurers, calling them insects. Yuna looked around in despair, stating that they were completely surrounded. Kuro turned to Yuki, his expression filled with concern for his friend. The demon taunted them, asking how they could possibly escape this situation. His expression then changed as he suddenly recognized one of the adventurers. A wicked grin spread across his face as a realization dawned on him. He realized these were not the same adventurers who had escaped before. He was shocked to see an S-rank adventurer was in the nearby village. But seeing an F-rank with them, he assumed they were simply desperate. Kuro scoffed, saying they were just eliminating a small fry on a walk. The demon sneered back, telling the cat warrior not to act so tough. He mocked their failed attempt to launch a surprise attack on his forces. Yuki remembered the villagers slain by this demon, his expression hardening. The demon admitted that perhaps he had slightly underestimated their power. Yuki turned his back to the demon, declaring that was exactly why. He would be the one to defeat the demon commander, right here. The demon laughed, asking if a mere F-rank truly intended to fight him. Kuro grinned, boasting their leader could easily handle a small fry demon. Yuna giggled to herself, amused by Kuro's bold and cheeky declaration. The demon's face twisted in rage, warning them not to get cocky. He unleashed a barrage of energy, screaming they didn't know their place. The attack created a massive blinding explosion that engulfed the area. Some of the demon's own minions were caught in the indiscriminate blast. The demon stood confidently amidst the smoke and fire of his attack. He peered into the smoke, expecting to see nothing but charred remains. But through the haze, he could see dark, shadowy figures still standing. He realized with confusion that this smoke was not from his own flames. He sensed magic, but the sheer amount of power was beyond his comprehension. Within the strange, dark smoke, a new and unknown power began to spark. Under the eerie glow of twin moons, our escape began. We materialized safely, our teleportation a success thanks to the smokescreen. This spell requires a pre-placed space-time ore to mark the destination. I was glad I had prepared the anchor point just in case. My companion Yuna found the dark forest disorienting after our sudden jump. But our cat-like friend Kuro simply sniffed the air for clues. He confidently announced he knew exactly where the enemy was located. He then asked if I could use my powerful ogre-slaying attack again. I confirmed I had enough energy left for just one more shot. Kuro grinned, stating that one shot would be more than enough. Back at the enemy camp, a massive explosion suddenly tore through their ranks. The demon leader emerged from the smoke, surveying his burning soldiers. His remaining goblin and orc troops murmured in panic and confusion. He furiously ordered his terrified army to find and kill us. He scoffed that 3 adventurers were no match, despite 1 S rank. He couldn't believe his champion was defeated by a supposed F-rank adventurer. In that moment, Yuna leaped from the shadows, her huge axe raised high. She brought it down, smashing through the shield of another hulking champion. With a single swing, she cleaved the massive beast completely in two. Her eyes were filled with focus as she stood over her fallen foe. The demon leader could only stare in utter, shocked disbelief. He watched as she began to carve a path through his horde. He couldn't comprehend it. She was registered as a lowly F rank. Enraged, the leader screamed, "Impossible!" and launched a magical barrage. But his attack was merely a distraction from the real threat. He sensed a presence and growled at the pesky interference. His eye widened as a figure appeared in his blind spot. It was Kuro, lunging forward with his deadly claws extended. Kuro's eyes were locked on his target with predatory focus. A single bead of sweat trickled down the demon leader's face. "Don't underestimate me," he roared, unleashing a counterblast of fire. Kuro was too fast, easily dodging the searing flames. The leader stood his ground, ready for the real fight to begin. He gathered dark energy into the palm of his hand. He swiftly drew his massive, rune-etched sword from its sheath. His blade met Kuro's claws in a blur of motion. The demon mocked Kuro, asking if he thought that surprise attack would work. Kuro sneered back, asking if the demon really considered that move fast. In an instant, Kuro vanished, leaving the leader swinging at empty air. He reappeared as a dozen blurs, striking from every direction at once. The leader was overwhelmed, unable to track the impossible speed. He knew he couldn't return to his master after such a failure. Deciding on a final desperate gambit, he began to gather power. Kuro realized he was trying to create an impenetrable barrier of fire. Yuna watched from a distance, her expression grim and determined. The demon screamed that failure was not an option for him. "I'll burn my failure and everything with it," he roared, self-destructing. Kuro cried out my name, Yuki, as the inferno swelled. A beam of light suddenly pierced through the wall of fire. It cleared a path, revealing me kneeling at the other end. I took aim with the large cannon-like weapon in my hands. A brilliant blast of energy erupted from the barrel. The shot struck the demon leader directly in the chest. He screamed in agony as the energy tore through his body. The single blast was actually a dense cluster of deadly projectiles. Kuro seized the opportunity, leaping through the opening for the final blow. The fatally wounded leader staggered, trying to speak his master's name. He collapsed backward as Kuro landed gracefully, his work done. Kuro watched silently as the dust of battle began to settle. Yuna looked on, her face etched with worry and relief. I too watched the outcome, a troubled feeling settling in my heart. The demon leader's smoking corpse lay defeated on the scorched ground. The remaining goblin and orc forces stared in abject terror. Yuna noted their retreat, but Kuro told her to let them go. I agreed, saying it would be more efficient to hunt the rest later. But a heavy silence fell over me as I looked at the devastation. Kuro noticed my mood and asked me what was wrong. I wondered aloud if fewer people would have died had we cooperated. Kuro knew I was being kind, but decided to give me the harsh truth. He told me that such thinking was nothing but arrogance. The other adventurers, he explained, were untrustworthy and greedy for glory. He told me that if I regretted this, I needed to get stronger. "It's too early for you to be playing the hero," he said, punching my arm. Yuna watched our exchange with a gentle, understanding smile. Kuro continued to glare at me, and I could only sweat nervously. Looking at the twin moons, I quietly agreed with his assessment. We returned to the Frau estate to report our success. We presented the demon's horn to the elven commander as proof. We left the task of hunting the remnants to another adventurer group. For the next few days, we helped rebuild the ravaged village. Our mission was finally complete after our time in the village. The elven commander Terini thanked us for restoring peace to her people. She then turned her attention to me, calling my name softly. To my surprise, she bowed her head and asked for my forgiveness. She confessed her initial disappointment upon learning we were low-ranked adventurers. I told her not to worry about it, trying to brush it off. I admitted it was my first real mission and I had made mistakes. I explained that helping the villagers was something I simply wanted to do. Moved by my words, she looked at me with newfound respect. She gently took my hand, causing Yuna to gasp in shock. She told me I was a strong, kind, and respectable man. Flustered by the high praise, I managed a shy thank you. After reporting to the guild, we parted ways with the commander. As we walked, Yuna commented on how beautiful the elven commander was. A dark, jealous aura began to swirl around Yuna, unnoticed by me. She asked what the commander and I had been talking about for so long. My answer made her stop dead in her tracks on the cobblestone street. She muttered to herself, obsessing over my talk of family. I turned back, asking what was wrong, as she wasn't acting herself. I called her name Yuna, trying to snap her out of her intense trance. Yuna shyly turns to Yuki, asking him to call her by her first name. He's surprised by the sudden request. She explains they are childhood friends. She continues her explanation, her head slightly bowed as they walk. Looking up, she asks if her request is a strange one. He reaches his hand out to her, saying, "Well then." With a warm smile, he gently invites her to go home. Yuna looks back at him, her eyes wide with surprise and pleasure. She trembles slightly, overcome with emotion at his kind gesture. Bashfully, she agrees, calling him Yuki-kun as she takes his hand. He teases her about it, but their successful first quest ends happily. A week later, they continued to steadily complete guild requests. Their accomplishments even included the incredible feat of defeating a dragon. An elf at the guild congratulates them on their promotion to E rank. She praises their progress, saying D rank is just around the corner. Kuro brazenly suggests they get a special promotion straight to S rank. The elf nervously explains the guild values trust and experience over raw power. Yuki notes he keeps his true power hidden to avoid exactly this kind of trouble. An adventurer nearby mutters that Kuro is cheating the system for them. His companion agrees, questioning if the kids are truly that powerful. Kuro overhears them, his expression turning sharp as he asks about cheating. He glares, demanding if they think his judgment of his friends is flawed. The two adventurers are instantly terrified by his intimidating aura. As Kuro growls, Yuki realizes they are attracting unwanted attention. He thinks to himself that they just need a proper chance to prove themselves. A determined footstep echoes through the now tense guild hall. A tall, powerful-looking woman approaches their group. The crowd gasps, recognizing the S-rank badge on her belt. She confronts them, asking if they are the ones who deceived Kuro-sama. Yuki wonders who she is, while Yuna asks Kuro if he knows her. Two women introduce themselves as Romilla and Plim of the White Rose Order. The onlookers are stunned that the famous guild has multiple S-rank members. The woman confirms the rumor of Kuro joining rookies was true. Kuro introduces his leader, Yuki, and his other companion, Yuna. Romilla demands to know why he chose them after refusing her invitation. Kuro smirks, ready to deliver a truly provocative answer. He declares that Yuki's party is far stronger than the White Rose adventurers. Romilla's eyes widen in utter shock at his bold claim. Plim is equally stunned, a bead of sweat on her confused face. She asks if he's saying she is weaker than an E-rank adventurer. The two S-rank adventurers are visibly startled by the incredible statement. Kuro adds that Yuki's otherworldly weapons are not to be underestimated. Plim asks if he is serious. Kuro confirms it without hesitation. Romilla announces that as leader, she cannot let this insult stand. She points directly at a startled Yuki, issuing a challenge. A confident, determined smirk spreads across her face. She declares that Yuki must face her companion, Plim, in a match. Yuki is completely shocked by the sudden, dramatic turn of events. Romilla states that if he loses, he must take responsibility. The responsibility, she declares, is joining the White Rose Order. Yuki protests that the conditions are completely unfair to him. Kuro counters, saying if Yuki wins, they will help with their work. Romilla questions what kind of work they could possibly have. With a sly grin, Kuro confirms it's not a normal guild quest. He reveals their true mission, the subjugation of the dreaded Zolds. Romilla scoffs, dismissing it as a rookie's bluff to trick them. She agrees to the terms, confident it will teach Kuro a lesson. Yuki realizes this was Kuro's plan to prove their strength all along. Kuro tells him to seize this opportunity and make it his. Kuro watches his companion, confident in the outcome. Yuna looks on with a worried expression. Yuki sweats, but firms his resolve for the duel. He agrees to the match, and they head for the training grounds. They walk through the grand halls of the Adventurers Guild. The scene shifts, revealing the entrance to the arena. Yuki and Yuna are amazed to see such a vast training area. Rilmila places her hand on a wall to activate the field. A magic circle flashes to life under her touch. Targets made of light materialize all over the arena. Rilmila explains the rules, a target shooting match for the highest score. She declares that she, a great alchemist, will judge his created weapon. Yuki quietly remarks on how amazing Plim's bow looks. Rilmila proudly explains the bow is made of incredibly rare materials. Yuki starts to comment further, but Rilmila seems annoyed by his muttering. She asks him what he's saying. He quickly replies that it's nothing. Plim announces she will go first, and Yuki agrees. She glances back at him, ready to show her skill. Yuki watches with a nervous but eager smile. Plim asks him why he accepted such a foolish challenge. She notes he doesn't seem like the type to pick fights for rank. He apologizes for Kuro's words, but then pauses before continuing. With newfound confidence, he states he has no intention of losing. Plim is visibly surprised by his sudden and firm declaration. Her surprise quickly melts into an intrigued smile. She remarks on his nerve, especially for a lowly E rank. She decides to raise the stakes if he somehow manages to win. With a teasing grin, she offers to let him touch her fluffy tail. She gives him a sly, challenging look, awaiting his response. Yuki is flustered beyond words, stammering at the unexpected prize. Rilmila asks Plim if she is ready, and Plim affirms she is. The referee raises their hand to signal the start of the match. The duel begins. Plim unleashes a blindingly fast arrow. Her shots fly true, striking multiple targets in a fluid motion. She moves with incredible speed, her skill on full display. The referee calls time, ending her 5-second turn. The crowd erupts into a thunderous cheer for her performance. They praise her as Divine Arrow Plim, declaring her the winner already. Rilmila smugly asks if Yuki understands now, giving him a chance to forfeit. She dismissively tells him to go ahead if he still wants to try. Yuki's expression hardens, his nervousness replaced with intense focus. He takes a deep, calming breath, preparing for his turn. Prim watched her opponent with focused intensity from behind the strange weapon. The alchemist Rirumiru called out, asking if they were ready for the duel. With a sharp cry, Rirumiru signaled for the match to officially begin. Yuki unleashed an impossibly fast 5-shot volley before the whistle even blew. His opponent, Prim, could only stare in wide-eyed, sweat-drenched disbelief. The proud alchemist Rirumiru was equally stunned by the display of power. A wave of pure astonishment washed over the faces of the entire crowd. His weapon now lowered, the ground before Prim was riddled with impacts. Yuki looked on as his cat-like friend Kuro admired the impressive results. Kuro and his other companion cheered, declaring it a clear victory for Yuki. Defeated, Prim collapsed to her knees, muttering about her low E-rank status. Rirumiru demanded to know about his unbelievable weapon, calling it impossible. She couldn't believe an E-rank's creation surpassed her own special great alchemy. The crowd began to murmur, certain that some kind of trickery was involved. They whispered accusations, suggesting Kuro had illicitly acquired the weapon for him. Yuki grimaced, realizing he had been naive about how his victory would look. Kuro confronted Rirumiru, saying she knew the truth even if she denied it. He insisted that what she had just witnessed was Yuki's true innate power. Rirumiru could only grit her teeth, unable to form a coherent response. As Prim apologized profusely, Rirumiru told her not to say another word. Rirumiru took the blame, admitting she had misjudged her opponent's true abilities. Prim looked up at her distraught leader with a face full of worry. Kuro then turned to the crowd, daring anyone with a complaint to face him. Yuki's bespectacled companion watched the scene unfold with a gentle, knowing smile. The formerly boisterous crowd members now looked on with nervous apprehension. Yuki could only manage an awkward, sweat-beaded smile at his friend's antics. Rirumiru demanded to know his identity and who taught an otherworlder alchemy. Kuro smugly offered to set things straight and teach everyone a lesson. Yuki clarified that the power he used was not alchemy at all. He revealed it was creation magic, a skill taught by someone named Acheron. The revelation of this legendary magic left Prim completely and utterly speechless. The spectators gasped in unison, horrified by this new, startling information. The girl with glasses observed their reactions with a calm, steady gaze. Rirumiru repeated the name Acheron, questioning the mention of the Demon King Zolds. As Prim mentioned a curse, Kuro accused her of making excuses for losing. He sternly reminded Rirumiru that she was now bound by her promise. The sound of hurried footsteps approached, breaking the tense standoff. A woman in a beret rushed in, desperately calling out for Rirumiru. She breathlessly delivered an urgent report from the battlefront at Amos Rock. It was confirmed. The demon general Shigarl was leading the enemy forces. The crowd recoiled in terror at the mention of the dreaded general's name. Prim's expression turned grim, understanding the gravity of this terrible news. Riramiru cried out in shock, unable to believe a demon general was present. Yuki quietly asked Kuro for an explanation, who sighed in understanding. Kuro realized that his friend was still unaware of this world's greatest threats. He explained they were the 7 elite commanders serving the Demon King Zolds. The world seemed to darken as the scale of the conflict became clear. In a dark hall, a subordinate reported their failure to take Dahon village. Shigarl, bored on his throne, simply ordered his men to abandon the village. An underling walked away, passing by gruesome piles of fallen soldiers. A horned demon sneered, having expected nothing from such incompetent minions. Shigarl raised a clawed hand, which began to glow with malevolent energy. The pile of corpses began to writhe and compress under his dark power. He channeled the energy, preparing a dark ritual with the fallen bodies. The bodies fused into a grotesque sphere as he spoke of his own plans. Lotta chastised Riramiru for her reckless promise involving the Demon King. She was still in disbelief over the wager to subjugate the Demon King. The revelation that Yuki used creation magic left her completely stunned. Lotta turned to Yuki's party, who greeted her with some awkwardness. She stated that cooperating to defeat the Demon King was out of the question. Riramiru and Prim could only look down, embarrassed by their prior arrogance. However, she admitted they were currently being overwhelmed by Shigarl's forces. Kuro saw his opening, offering a cunning suggestion with a sharp grin. Yuki proposed that they first join forces to deal with Shigarl. Riramiru and Prim looked up, surprised by the unexpected but welcome offer. Kuro confirmed their ultimate goal was Zolds, so their paths would eventually cross. For them, it was a stepping stone toward their final objective. Lotta considered the proposal, realizing that their interests were indeed aligned. She gratefully accepted their help, and Kuro declared the negotiation a success. Yuki asked about Shigarl's strength. Kuro confirmed he was on another level. Kuro teased Yuki about being scared, but he was worried about materials. Riramiru listened to their exchange, her expression thoughtful and determined. The following day, preparations were made for the journey to the front. They received a gift of rare materials, which Riramiru called a payment. As guild leader, Riramiru explained that she could not leave the headquarters. She entrusted Yuki with saving her guild members using his special magic. Yuki's party looked on, absorbing the weight of her earnest request. A confident and reassuring smile spread across Yuki's face. He accepted the responsibility, promising that she could count on him. The promise hung in the air, a silent vow of cooperation. Days later, their caravan of covered wagons finally approached Amos Rock. Prim teased Yuki about how he touched her, but he told her to stop. He clarified he only touched her tail because she had insisted on it. His friend noted he had to expose his butt to Yuki publicly. The girl with glasses then suddenly asked him if he was jealous. Yuki denied it, while she blushed and steamed in silent embarrassment. They moved through the grand stone-walled halls of the fortress. From a window, the fortress's formidable towers stood against the sky. A blonde warrior welcomed them into a large meeting room for their briefing. She was surprised to see the famous, swift, dark warrioress among them. She then cut to the chase, asking for an update on the war. Prim grimly stated the situation was terrible, though they held out initially. On day 6, they found the enemy's lair and launched a full assault. But when they arrived, they were met by the demon general's gaze. Shigarl himself was waiting for them, standing alone on a high cliff. He had been baiting them into a trap, aware of their numbers. It had been a calculated move to utterly crush their forces. Somehow, against all odds, a small number of them managed to retreat. Yet the retreat came at a great cost, with many dead and wounded. Yuki and his friend listened, their expressions grim, understanding the stakes. A stern, cat-like warrior peers intently from around a corner. A female knight named Prim looks away with an anxious expression. Overcome with shame, she bows her head, sweating with distress. Though the wounded were saved by medicine, their forces are now weaker. In a war council, a young man questions the enemy's motives. A bunny-eared archer wonders if it's a diversion for another attack. Prim reveals the enemy's strange habit of taking their fallen comrades. They were outnumbered 8-1, yet the enemy held back. A girl with glasses asks what purpose collecting bodies could possibly serve. The cat person explains the demon general plans an abominable dark ritual. One of Prim's soldiers feels ashamed, unable to face their allies. Prim clenches her fist, calling herself useless for failing to protect everyone. The girl with glasses is taken aback by Prim's harsh self-criticism. The archer places a comforting hand upon Prim's armored shoulder. She insists Prim's leadership is why they survived against the demon general. Prim is left speechless, touched by her comrade's passionate defense. The archer admits that the new arrivals have brought a glimmer of hope. The cat person reveals he knows the newcomers have S-rank level power. With them, there are now 5 S-rank adventurers gathered together. Prim's confidence is restored. She believes they can now defeat Shagul. The cat person smirks, sharing in the newfound confidence. The young man and the girl with glasses listen with serious resolve. The archer winks, ready for the challenge ahead of them. Prim confirms their shared goal is to defeat the demon general. The young man affirms their mission with a determined yes. The cat person begins to outline their new strategy for the attack. He explains that a direct frontal assault would be completely foolish. Their only option is a surprise attack with a small, elite force. The chosen few ride out from the castle in a rattling carriage. Prim watches them depart, entrusting the fate of everyone to them. Another warrior rallies the remaining troops, vowing to defend the fort. The scene fades to black as the mission begins in earnest. The team hides their carriage in the forest with a concealment spell. They set out on foot under the eerie light of 2 moons. The sound of their steps rustles through the tall grass. Suddenly, the archer's long ears twitch violently, sensing danger. She halts the group, warning of a powerful monster nearby. The cat person smells blood, realizing they are near a gruesome sight. They cautiously proceed through the moonlit forest, nearing their target. They discover a grotesque, pulsating orb of flesh atop an altar. The archer and cat person recoil in horror at the abominable sight. A close-up reveals the disgusting, throbbing texture of the vile creation. The young man and his companion stare, aghast at Shagul's evil. He wonders if the demon is trying to birth a disaster-class monster. The demon general, Shagul, stands calmly, overseeing his dark ritual. The cat person suddenly realizes they have been exposed. Shagul's eye flashes with energy as he spots the hidden heroes. The group panics, shocked that he could detect them from so far. Shagul speaks coolly, acknowledging the arrival of his guests. He gestures for his massive army of monsters to attack them. The archer steps forward, accepting this as a chance for redemption. The cat person questions if she can handle the horde before Shagul arrives. She confidently reminds him that she is also an S-rank adventurer. With a fierce grin, she declares that she will prove her strength. She stands before the horde, ready to demonstrate her true power. But first, she says, drawing her powerful bow in a fluid motion. Her companions can only watch, stunned by the power she radiates. She unleashes a torrent of arrows that blacken the entire sky. The volley rains down, instantly piercing through goblin foot soldiers. A larger pig-faced monster is struck down by the magical assault. The rain of death continues, felling beast after beast. The archer vows to repay the debt owed to her fallen comrades. Amidst the carnage, Shagul alone stands completely unharmed and unimpressed. The demon general looks on with a bored, condescending expression. The archer leaps forward, telling the others to handle the orb. Her companions rush into battle against the remaining monster forces. The young man praises her incredible skill, far beyond what he'd seen. The remaining monsters charge forward to meet the 3 heroes. The cat person explains that an S rank would never show their full power. He extends his own razor-sharp claws, preparing to enter the fray. He slices through the horde, saying she wouldn't reveal her hand to weaklings. The young man agrees, unleashing his own explosive magic on the enemy. The girl with glasses joins in, cleaving monsters with a giant axe. The young man reflects that forcing this alliance was the right choice. However, a new wave of even more menacing monsters approaches. The heroes stand in a field of corpses, ready for the next assault. The young man glances towards Shagul, a seed of doubt planted. He realizes this new demon might be stronger than their last foe. The girl with glasses shares his worried expression. The cat person tells him not to worry and to trust their ally. He explains that trusting a comrade who accepted a task is key. That's what being comrades is all about, the cat person declares. The young man's eye widens at the mention of the word comrades. He is haunted by a dark memory of being betrayed by past allies. Pushing the memory aside, he acknowledges the cat person's point. A genuine smile appears as he agrees with his new friend. He resolves to live up to the expectations of his trusted comrade. He shouts his determination to stop the demon's ridiculous ritual. Meanwhile, the archer moves with incredible speed towards Shagul. She nimbly leaps from a tree branch to gain a better angle. She fires another volley of arrows at Shagul while airborne. Shagul scoffs, saying such weak attacks could never hope to harm him. Her powerful arrows shatter harmlessly against an unseen barrier. He boasts that his beast-like perception makes her strategy useless. His eye glints with confidence as he easily counters her assault. He plants his foot firmly on the ground, preparing his own attack. His leg gruesomely transforms into a monstrous, scaled talon. The archer's senses scream in warning as he disappears before her eyes. He moves faster than she can track, leaving only an afterimage. He reappears instantly in front of her, his fist ready to strike. A gloved fist crackled, clenching with an immense display of power. A blonde warrior could only stare, her eyes wide with shock. The two fighters met in a blur, their fists colliding explosively. The smaller warrior was sent flying backward from the powerful impact. The demon taunted her, saying her pathetic speed was not enough to escape. They stood far apart, the ground around them ravaged and broken. She correctly identified his specialty as body-strengthening magic, which he confirmed. She noted his admission, seeing he felt no need to hide his power. He grinned with sharp teeth, confirming it was especially pointless against her. He finished his thought, sneering that she was an inferior opponent. In a flashback, she demanded to know why they were collecting corpses. A masked figure had gleefully revealed their goal, to birth a dark dragon. Back in the present, her eyes widened with dawning horror. She closed her eyes for a moment, steeling herself against the truth. Her opponent acknowledged her resolve, now understanding the situation. She questioned if he was revealing too much, but he called it a gift. He coldly clarified that she too would become nourishment for the dragon. Her fallen comrades were already nutrients, he gloated, but more were needed. He mockingly thanked her weak allies for making his work so much easier. He recalled with pleasure the final expressions her friends made before dying. He laughed manically, declaring their despair was the most delightful sight. A memory of her friends, smiling and happy, flashed through her mind. She gritted her teeth in pure fury, blood dripping from her lip. Turning away, she muttered to herself with disgust and annoyance. The demon's fist began to glow as he prepared to power up. His scaly skin cracked and strained as his body began to transform. Now a hulking monster, he launched himself forward with terrifying speed. He called her a fool for following such an incompetent leader. His hoof-like foot slammed down, shattering the very rock beneath him. He charged across the wasteland, his speed shaking the entire battlefield. He landed with a powerful stomp, preparing to deliver the final blow. With a roar, he threw a massive punch meant to end her life. His eyes widened in shock as his fist connected with empty air. He stood confused amidst the rubble, wondering where she had vanished. An arrow made of pure light zipped past his head. He casually deflected the projectile with the back of his hand. He began to boast that her pathetic arrows were completely useless against him. He stopped mid-sentence, noticing something strange where the arrow had grazed him. Looking down at his chest, he questioned the mysterious light now on him. From a distance, the warrior told him to look closer at it. Her eye filled with intense focus as she revealed it was a mark. A volley of 10 energy arrows curved through the air, homing in. The arrows converged, engulfing him in a massive, blinding explosion. He snarled that he wouldn't let her plan succeed, whatever they were. The ground beneath his feet began to rumble and glow ominously. More arrows of light suddenly erupted from the earth all around him. He leaped into the air, shocked by the unexpected attack from below. The inescapable arrows pierced him from all sides, skewering his body. A single massive arrow of light then struck him from above. He gasped, wondering at this incredible power, unlike anything she'd shown before. He looked up in shock as the arrows began to circle around. They streaked back towards him, now moving with even greater speed. He was hit again and again by the relentless, piercing barrage. His monstrous form was riddled with wounds, finally brought to his knees. The warrior stared back at him, her expression one of cold fury. The demon cursed, realizing that even dodging the attack was futile. She explained that 10 special arrows would pursue him until her magic ran out. Each time they touched the mark, their speed and power would increase. After piercing him, she concluded, they would return even stronger than before. She stood firm as a massive explosion consumed her shredded opponent. The warrior's face showed the immense strain the battle was taking on her. The demon coughed up a spray of blood, grievously wounded but defiant. He screamed that he would ignore the arrows and kill her first. Just as he charged, she vanished from sight in a flash. He skidded to a halt, realizing in frustration she had disappeared again. Cursing, he was struck once more by the arrows, now impossibly fast. He grimaced in pain, a sudden, terrible realization dawning on him. He finally understood that her magic boots were the source of her speed. She recalled her leader, who had skillfully crafted both her boots and bow. She declared that the very group he had insulted as incompetent. The White Rose Brigade would now beat their power into his body. A final, overwhelming swarm of arrows descended upon the trapped demon. His eyes were wide with abject terror as his death became certain. The crisscrossing beams of pure energy closed in to tear him apart. He was utterly obliterated, his screams silenced by the cage of light. His mangled, defeated body lay smoking and still on the ground. The sound of his final moments echoed across the barren landscape. The warrior winced in pain as her own leg finally gave out. She knew the boot's incredible power came at a great physical cost. Elsewhere, a huge battle axe was embedded in a giant, fleshy sphere. The wound from the axe began to pulse with unnatural regenerative energy. The flesh sealed itself shut, completely nullifying the powerful attack. The axe wielder admitted defeat. She asked her comrade Yuki to take over. The heroes stood before the massive egg, surrounded by lesser monsters. Yuki knew a monster that could destroy a nation was gestating inside. Realizing brute force failed, he resolved to use his maximum power. He thought of his friends Rirumiru and Prim and the sacrifices they made. He vowed to prove his creation magic could be useful to them all. He raised his hand and the ring on his finger began to glow. Unleashing his ultimate attack, he shouted its name, Supernova! With a determined cry, he commanded the monster to take his full power. The sphere of condensed energy hurtled towards its massive, fleshy target. The supernova struck the egg, creating a massive, star-shaped point of impact. A colossal explosion of fire engulfed the entire ritual site. His friend praised him, hoping they had finally stopped the ritual. But their cat-like companion shouted a desperate warning that it wasn't over. From the smoke and fire, a massive winged silhouette began to emerge. Yuki realized in horror that his attack had only destroyed the outer shell. He stared, a cold sweat on his face, at the true horror within. This was the enemy's real goal, as its drooling, monstrous maw appeared. A monstrous winged beast descends, shattering the earth around it. The girl with glasses, Yuna, stares in absolute, horrified shock. The cat warrior beside her grits his sharp teeth in fear. The young man Yuki can only watch, his face pale with dread. Sweat drips from his face, a testament to their shared terror. The beast's dreadful form is revealed. It is the legendary Dark Dragon. It stands over the battlefield, a new chapter of destruction beginning. Yuki wonders aloud if this truly is the mythical Dark Dragon. The cat confirms it is, but senses that something is wrong. The dragon's pained eye reveals a deep internal agony. Its body seems unstable, its dark scales melting like hot tar. The cat deduces that its awakening must have been incomplete. With a roar, the dragon gathers a blinding sphere of energy. Yuki urgently shouts that this is an extremely bad situation. A colossal beam of destruction erupts from the dragon's maw. The attack carves a massive smoking crater into the landscape. The dragon lets out a triumphant roar over the new wasteland. It stands amid the rubble, a terrifying silhouette of power. The cat breathes a sigh of relief, noting that was too close. Yuki frantically gets up, asking about their friend Prim. The cat closes his eyes, sensing a faint but steady presence. Far away, a rabbit-eared woman lies injured near her bow. Yuki lets out a relieved sigh, glad she is still alive. Someone else is attacking, keeping the dragon's attention for now. Yuki states that they absolutely must stop the monster here. The cat warns that its escape could mean the end of nations. Yuna turns, her voice firm as she says she is all right. She hoists her heavy axe, declaring she can still fight on. The cat smiles, calling them a reliable pair he can count on. He will go and bring their friend Prim back as reinforcement. Yuki and Yuna shout their agreement, ready to face the beast. The two heroes charge forward to engage the Dark Dragon. Yuki shouts Yuna's name as they begin their coordinated assault. He announces his plan to start with a body enhancement spell. Yuna grips her enormous axe, preparing for a mighty swing. She vaults off Yuki's back, telling him to leave it to her. He yells for her to go as she soars through the air. With his enhancement active, he leaps right behind her to attack. His fist clenches tight, glowing with immense magical energy. He prepares to slam his empowered fist into the massive beast. He unleashes his attack, roaring the name Magic Burner. The spell erupts in a towering pillar of brilliant, white light. Elsewhere, under the light of two moons, a rescue is underway. The cat finds Prim, asking if the injured woman is okay. He offers her a recovery potion, which she gratefully accepts. She drinks the potion, feeling its magical power take effect. She stands on her now healed leg, completely recovered. She marvels that Yuki's special potions are incredibly effective. The cat smirks, telling her it is time to get back to work. She lets out an exasperated sigh, ready for the next task. She mutters that he certainly knows how to work people hard. Back at the battle, the dragon is smoking, but still standing. Yuna cries out Yuki's name, pointing at the enraged beast. The dragon growls furiously, angered by the powerful magic attack. It begins to beat its tattered wings, preparing to take flight. As it rises, Yuki asks if the dragon is trying to escape. Yuna screams that she absolutely will not let it get away. With incredible speed, she runs and leaps onto its lashing tail. She uses her axe like a pick to climb its scaly back. She continues her determined descent up the thrashing monster. The dragon is stunned, feeling the warrior on its back. Yuna grits her teeth, holding on with all of her might. The beast thrashes wildly in the air, trying to dislodge her. It crashes back to the ground, but she refuses to let go. It twists its head around, charging another point-blank energy blast. She remains on its back, right in the path of its attack. Her eyes widen in horror, realizing she has no way to escape. The energy beam erupts, engulfing her in a flash of light. The devastating blast carves yet another scar across the land. Yuna's limp body is thrown through the air from the impact. She screams in agony, coughing up blood as she falls. Yuki screams her name in terror, rushing toward her crumpled form. She gasps that her injuries are severe and require healing magic. The dragon whips its tail around, not giving them a moment. It slams the ground, sending an avalanche of rocks toward them. The massive boulders rain down on Yuki as he shields Yuna. The rock slide threatens to crush them both under its immense weight. He thinks that the attack's range was too wide to dodge. Without his teleportation magic, he knows they would have died. Holding her, he promises to heal her as a light envelopes them. She apologizes, coughing that she failed to defeat the dragon. He looks down at her, telling her not to worry about it. With a faint smile, she vows that she will protect him. Her hand falls from his shoulder as she loses consciousness. Yuki sits in stunned silence, holding her still, silent form. His expression darkens, his eyes shadowed with grief and rage. He thinks to himself that Yuna is always protecting him. He remembers her kindness, even after he was cast out. He clenches his fist, resolving that things will be different now. He rises to his feet, declaring that now it is his turn. His eyes burn with new power. It's his turn to protect. He activates his body enhancement spell, magical energy crackling. The very ground shatters beneath his feet from his power. His muscles bulge as the enhancement spell takes full effect. The dragon, sensing a threat, charges one final energy blast. Yuki hurls a rock, a simple distraction for his real plan. His creation magic flashes, forming a modern handgun in his grip. He fires two magically enhanced bullets straight at the dragon. The bullets hit the energy sphere, causing a massive detonation. Yuki's fist remains clenched, his resolve to win now absolute. A cloaked warrior unleashes a blazing crescent of fire upon his monstrous foe. The massive, dragon-like beast roars as the fiery attack engulfs its body. The powerful blast erupts, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. The hero coughs, thinking to himself that something about this fight feels strange. The creature's reptilian eye glares with malice, completely unharmed by the assault. He is thrown backward by the force as the monster shakes off the flames. He remembers his expulsion, realizing he never felt this way back then. This raw, burning emotion surging through him is an entirely new experience. Another blast of pure energy strikes the monster squarely in the chest. He has never in his life felt such an incredible, overwhelming sense of anger. The monster simply opens its maw, letting out another earth-shattering, defiant roar. Gritting his teeth, the hero's arm begins to glow with immense power. The beast retaliates, firing a devastating beam of energy from its gaping mouth. The destructive beam carves a deep, smoldering trench across the rocky terrain. He falls to his knees, panting heavily and exhausted from the battle. Coughing up blood, he realizes with dread that this situation is dire. This is bad. He knows he must find a way to recover quickly. Through the dust, he sees the monster's silhouette and wonders how it's still moving. The monster's flesh is melting away from the heat, revealing bone underneath. Despite its injuries, he knows he is also running low on magical materials. But even so, he steels his resolve, vowing to defeat it here. He recalls his past self, remembering he is no longer that same person. He is different now, standing with the new friends he has made. Clenching his fist, he knows this power can save his companions. With a powerful shout, he declares that he is not useless anymore. Dozens of glowing magical circles suddenly materialize in the air around the beast. He slams his hand onto the ground, activating the powerful magic spell. From each circle, a brilliant spear of light begins to take form. He unleashes his ultimate technique, calling forth the might of a holy meteor. A torrent of light rains down from the heavens, descending upon the beast. The meteors strike their target, resulting in a cataclysmic, blinding explosion. Amidst the swirling dust of the crater, he kneels alone, completely spent. He looks up, wondering what that was, as two figures emerge from the smoke. His two companions, a cat person and a rabbit person, stare in utter shock. The severed, dissolving head of the monster lies defeated on the ground. His friends approach him, standing before the massive, vanquished dragon's corpse. The rabbit girl asks in disbelief if he defeated the dark dragon alone. He offers a small, tired smile and confirms that he did. She is left completely speechless, stunned by his incredible show of power. He tells them he is now going to retrieve their friend, Yuna. He suddenly leaps into the air, leaving his stunned companions behind. The scene shifts to a quiet forest under a starry night sky. A voice calls out to Yuki, asking if he is all right. A villain watches the battle's aftermath in an orb, muttering about his property. The orb begins to crack as he seized with rage, unable to accept this. He grits his teeth, furious that they dared to destroy his dark dragon. The orb shatters completely as he vows that he will not forgive them. A horned demon general agrees, calling them insects who will not be forgiven. The eyes of the two villains glow with a burning, shared hatred. This marks the beginning of the final confrontation, a time for settling scores. The scene changes to a quiet, lamplit corridor within a stone fortress. Yuki sits by a bed, asking the girl lying there if she is awake. The girl Yuna slowly opens her eyes and speaks his name in surprise. She asks where they are, and he explains they have returned to the fort. Her eyes widen in panic as she suddenly remembers and asks about the dragon. He smiles, telling her he defeated it, and that it was thanks to her. She asks if he is hurt, but he says he can use healing magic. She checks herself over, realizing with surprise that she feels perfectly fine. He smiles with genuine relief, simply happy that she is safe and well. Yuna looks at him, her cheeks flushing as she is left at a loss for words. He explains he created new glasses for her. She shyly thanks him. Elsewhere, the rabbit girl wonders where their other friends have gone to. Yuna asks if they must continue fighting, but Yuki thinks they will retreat. He laughs, saying he will handle any attack with his versatile creation magic. She smiles softly, knowing that he truly would find a way if needed. A faint sound effect appears as she suddenly moves towards him. She embraces him tightly, and he asks in surprise what she is doing. She says she just felt like it, playfully asking if he's surprised. He stammers that he's fine, but he is definitely aware of the situation. She asks if this is okay, or if perhaps he wants something more. Leaning closer, she softly asks if he dislikes her being this close. He sweats, admitting that as a guy, this kind of thing affects him. Her eyes widen slightly, her curiosity piqued by his flustered reaction. She moves even closer, asking what exactly happens when she does this. He can only repeat her words, his mind racing and his face bright red. They are now face to face, blushing intensely in the charged silence. She closes the final inch between them, capturing his lips in a kiss. The tender moment is broken as the door bursts open and someone shouts his name. The cat person rushes in, startling them both. Yuki asks what is happening. The scene cuts to the villain, Shagrul, who has begun his assault. A giant spectral image of Shagrul looms over the fort, furious at the humans. On the ramparts, Yuki and Yuna look up, recognizing the demon lord. Their other companions join them on the wall, their faces grim and determined. The ground trembles with the thudding feet of an approaching monster army. An insectoid general stands at the forefront of the massive, terrifying horde. Behind it, an army of reanimated skeletons marches forward, weapons drawn. The demon lord declares that they will all die to appease his rage. The horned general roars, his face contorted in a mask of pure fury. He gives the order to his waiting army, leave no one alive. The insect general points forward, commanding the monsters to begin their attack. He screams for them to slaughter every last human within the fortress walls. The monstrous horde swarms forward, beginning to scale the castle walls. A soldier yells that the fort is surrounded. Yuna asks Yuki what to do. Yuki panics, realizing he can't teleport everyone and lacks materials for a defense. His mind races in terror as he desperately wonders what he can possibly do. A close-up on his eye reveals his utter panic in this hopeless situation. Yuna speaks his name gently, then reassures him that it will be okay. She steps in front of him, facing the horde with unwavering resolve. Yuki is stunned into silence by her brave and unexpected declaration. She tells him that because she will protect him, they can face this together. A young man lets out a soft, almost inaudible sigh of realization. With a knowing smile, he admits that Yuna sees right through his bluff. He bashfully tells Yuna that he is truly no match for her perception. Two armored warriors suddenly arrive, calling out to Yuki, needing his help. The peaceful moment is shattered, the scene changing in an instant. The blonde knight questions if his small party will face Shagrul alone. With fierce determination, Yuki declares he will end the entire conflict soon. The knight Floera shouts back that his desperate plan is completely reckless. The bunny warrior Prim tells her concerned companion to have faith in them. Prim reminds Flora that this small party once defeated the great dark dragon. She asks if he has a secret plan, to which he meekly agrees. Prim playfully grabs him, praising the user of creation magic as Yuna gasps. She offers to let him touch her special tail again if he wins. He is flustered by her embrace as she tells him not to hesitate. A sharp smack from an unseen person sends Prim reeling, but she laughs. He turns away, rubbing his head and asking what that was all for. Prim confidently tells his group to go and win. They will handle this. Yuki, Yuna, and their cat-like companion Kuro watch them, still surprised. Yuki stares, taking in the immense weight of their trust in his group. The two S-rank adventurers give them a final, encouraging, and confident smile. His own smile returns, his face hidden once more in the shadows. He shouts back, asking to touch her tail later. She says she'll wait. With their allies on their way, Prim and Flora dash toward the battle. The two warriors exchange banter about each other's recklessness as they run. Flora sighs that Prim is reckless as always, but Prim says she is too. At the castle, two massive monsters smash through the fortified stone gate. An enemy commander orders his goblin soldiers to gather and press forward. The castle's defenders cry out in horror as the west gate is destroyed. At the same time, the south gate is also being breached by enemies. The soldiers are filled with despair, believing that it is completely hopeless now. One soldier points to the ramparts, spotting another monster scaling the wall. It raises its massive, scythe-like arm, preparing to strike the defenders below. The giant mantis creature looms over them as the soldiers cry its name. In a flash, the impossibly large blade of a greatsword slices through. The mantis is cleaved in two, its body sliding down the stone wall. Flora stands coolly on the rubble, having dispatched the beast in one blow. Her immense strength had left the powerful monster completely and utterly helpless. The gleaming steel of her massive weapon reflected the chaos of the battle. A soldier, his helmet askew, stares up at his savior in sheer awe. He recognizes their hero, the legendary S-rank adventurer known as Flora. She orders the gate's soldiers to reinforce the other besieged castle gates. A soldier sees a new threat approaching and tries to warn Flora. A swarm of smaller monsters are now rushing to attack her from behind. She calmly tells him it is fine as a volley of arrows descends. The arrows strike every single enemy with perfect, deadly, and inhuman accuracy. High on the battlements, Prim lowers her bow as Flora begins to speak. Flora smiles, confidently telling the soldiers they can leave this fight to them. Prim mirrors her sentiment, promising that they have the situation under control. Elsewhere, a Lich Lord sits enthroned above his endless army of skeletons. The undead horde clatters their jaws, ready to march upon his command. Meanwhile, Yuki and his companions race across the desolate, cracked earth. Kuro reports that their target, Shagrul, is in the army's center. Yuki acknowledges that their goal is still a great distance away from them. They see other adventurers being chased. They must deal with the rear guard. Yuki will be the decoy. Kuro worries if he can handle it alone. Kuro smirks confidently, asking Yuki if he knows who he is talking to. He digs his feet into the ground, changing his direction in an instant. He becomes a blur, dashing back towards the horde pursuing the others. He proudly declares his title, Kuro, the jet black knight of divine speed. He faces the monstrous pursuers alone, dismissing them all as mere small fry. In an instant, he carves through them, standing untouched amid the carnage. His duty done, he turns to continue his mission, running forward again. But he suddenly stops, his body frozen as he grits his teeth in pain. Far away, Yuki and Yuna watch in horror as he screams out Kuro's name. The Lich Lord Shagrul observes the distant scene from above his vast army. A chilling, impossibly wide grin spreads across the Lich Lord's terrible face.